The Cologne Major has just ended, and we're here to give a thorough review of the tournament. How was the competition? How did it rank up against other majors? How was the production? The first time Cologne has been a major in, 10 years at this point in time? It's ESL's first major in quite some time. A lot of them have been handed out to Blast or PGL, other tournament operators. Joined by LFN Mauisnake, of course. Welcome. What are you guys' first impressions of the major?
Well,
I'll let everyone else go first.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching the whole thing, stage one to the grand final, of course, and I mean, having worked the majority of majors for the last 4 years, I would say from a competition standpoint, which is of course what the fans are going to be tuning in for the most, we had a lot of pretty banger matchups. I would say that it's pretty rare that you get in stage one of a major a game that excites you as much as NRG Big Clan did, where you had a historic comeback there from 12-0 down for Big to rattle off 16 rounds in a row. It literally just doesn't get any better than that. So I think the games definitely punched above their weight in almost every stage of this one, barring the exception being, I guess, the grand finals, which you would have wanted to be a bit more competitive. So I think on an entertainment standpoint, like what did the teams bring into it? Got to be pretty satisfied. A lot of the quarterfinal games were also great. I think the semifinals between Spirit and Falcons also was excellent too. 2-2 matchup between NAVI and NAVI and G2. Even the NAVI Falcons won in the 2-1 matchup. So many good ones. So a lot of games that I'm definitely going to remember. And off the top of my head, I guess there'd be 6 series total where I would willingly watch them back at the end of the year just to kind of jog my memory about what happened in these ones. So on that front, I mean, yeah, teams definitely put up.
I think the major was mega. Like, first of all, one thing I really like about VRS is, in general, it is doing a really good job now also, not only of qualifying teams to the major, but of sorting them to the right stages. So you know what? Yes, if you thought stage one was boring, congrats, that's some good seeding. That means all the shit teams were in stage one. And then stage two, a little bit your interest got perked up, unless you're a fan of tier two anyway, and you start to get into, the Spirits and the other ones in the Bet Booms, Journey, etc. And then by the time you got to stage three, because stage three was all BO3s, this is why I've always told people, if you actually don't, here's the difference. When you say you want upsets, do you actually mean you want bad teams to win? Because if you want bad teams to win, you should go back to BO1s. That's where you're going to get loads of them. If you want upsets that are real upsets, by the way, Gizmy and Monte were giving you them here. Like, they were right in these matches. They were almost winning, and these were real BO3s against the best teams in the world. That actually, I think 9Z gained massively from this tournament without even basically making it past the quarters. So I thought stage three was great as well. My interest just went up a bit on the stages, and then in the playoffs, look, let's be real, because of the stacked bracket, it was mainly just the Falcons side of the bracket. Like, Furia, who gave a fuck about Furia and Aurora? They were just beating the teams they should, and then their game was actually quite uninspired. But Falcons, even though, yes, they carried it out, it did make the tournament mega. Like, that is something, to use the cliche, out of a movie. Like, they didn't ever have an easy game. It was hard work for them in the Swiss stage. It was hard work in every single game except the final. And it was fucking epic because it tied together all the CS anime fucking narratives and archetypes. Like, Nico rejoins with karrigan and they win together. karrigan rejoins with Zonic and they win together. Zonic gets to win. Falcons project finally gets to win. All the people who should win the busts. Kiyosuke actually was awesome in the play. He was actually the best playoff performer. They won on maps that they don't even normally play. It was every single, like I say, storyline beat basically got hit. So it was fucking super epic. And I think also some of the games they played were really high level games that were super memorable and had iconic moments in them. So I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm also a massive karrigan fan, though, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, same.
I get to win sometimes, too.
I mean, again, I don't disagree with anything either of you have said, but for me, unfortunately, and I realize that after this episode, I'm going to just have to go offline for a week because I'm already getting the death threats and the abuse already, and I haven't even opened my mouth yet. So I've had that since the Midge finished. It's actually one of the darkest days in Counter-Strike history, the completion of this event. And I don't think people will recognize that fact or wake up to it for a while. But because everyone's in that post-major feel-good bullshit, that's where everyone's at right now. But what we've had a Saudi-owned company put on a tournament that they've invited that a Saudi team has got to. the Saudi team has won the event entirely by spending more money than anybody else and essentially assembling a super team. And then we've been told by a website that partners with the Saudi Arabian state now that it just so happens to be the most viewed event ever. Which I'd love to see.
Did ES Charts partner with them?
Yeah, they partner with the EWC.
Yes, okay.
And I'll get into that. That's a sidebar topic. We'll get into that. But what it showed me in the moment of, right, Falcons, everyone was like, hate Falcons, hate Falcons, hate Falcons, big money team, Saudi team, sports washing. The minute Nico got his major, none of that matters anymore. And
also, they helped signing karrigan too. You know, it's like you turned the crowd around, bro.
Well, but I mean, also as well, like, you know, that has been the strategy of Falcons right from the get-go, like signing not just big name players, but popular players, because they know it'll take the heat off. And sorry, I've got a bit of a cold, bit of a cough. But yeah, basically, I think having having all of the fans just do a 180 the minute they secure that trophy, everyone turning around and going, the Saudi shit doesn't matter. Nico's got his major. It's so cool. Okay, sports successfully washed. They did it.
Absolutely.
All of those people that you profess to care about, all of those dead people. I mean, like, by the way, like, I don't know what we're doing when there's like an actual human rights report that you can go and read now about what Saudi Arabian soldiers did to immigrants trying to cross their border illegally, you know, shooting them, practicing explosive target practice on them, forcing men to rape women. And hey, but Nico got a major, guys. So we've got enough layers of abstraction now that Nico's got his major. So it's for me, it's unbelievably sad, because the one thing I would say up until this point, up until this event, was at least people were aware of what the Saudi project was for. At least people were aware of what Falcons were trying to do and how they're part of a big thing. Now nobody cares. Nobody cares. So so the Saudis have won, great, but Nico got a major, guys. And also, and I'll get into this as well, it really blackpilled me on just how interconnected everything is. Like, the subreddit did a hey everyone, for a limited time only, get a Nico with a crown on flare. That had to be planned in advance. So probably from the playoffs. We don't do that for any other player, do we?
I've never heard of that ever. Yeah,
we don't do that for any other player. So why are we doing it for the Saudi player at the big money organization? So I've got lots of thoughts on this one. Would you
speculate behind the scenes maybe that was like paid for or astroturfed or something?
It's all interconnected. Of course it is.
I could believe it.
I put it this way: some of the threads that were getting deleted. Have you noticed how, like, there isn't a thread about some of the production issues that happened at ESL? Have you noticed how there's no threads about the stage invasions?
Yep. True.
When PGL had theirs.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Right. So guys, like, congratulations. You all took part in the most astroturfed, gaslit, fake Saudi sports washing exercise ever done in esports. And if you think that's a good thing for the scene, congrats. I mean, I remember I thought like it would be corruption and match fixing that would turn Counter-Strike into a joke, but it's shit like this, actually. So I was very disenchanted. At the end, the people are going to be like, he's seeding. You don't understand me if you think that's my motivation here. Like, ultimately, I'm happy Nico got a major. I sat on Nico's birthday having beers with him, telling him, like, if he was at any other org, I would be rooting for him. I told him to his fucking face, but I don't want you to win one for Falcons because there's a bigger thing here, you know? If you'd have got one with G2, I'd have been sound. The only criticism there would have been Hooksy would have had a major, right? Like, so, you know, that would have been a dark day for different reasons, but not to be facetious. So
even going back to the fact that everything's just interconnected and owned by the same people. I mean, I think that this is like New York Times reporting on issues in the Middle East when you look at HLTV. The fact that the headline is literally IEM Cologne Major shatters CS viewership records. What does shatters mean to you in a headline? It means it obliterates it, right? It means it absolutely just blew it out of the water.
20,000.
Yes.
And not only that, though.
It's not even 20,000. It's like 13,000 viewers more at the peak.
What about all of the core streamers
in a 2.75 million amount? Yeah.
A fraction of a percent.
That includes the core streamers as well, right? Which I don't even know if the Stockholm.
I don't think he even had core streamer back then.
Yeah.
Did it?
One was like 1/10 the streamer that he is today.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just loads to break down. I'll end up hogging the time if I keep going. But look,
what's
I
surprising?
I just want to summarize it by saying I don't think this is a good day for Counter-Strike. Nico gets a major, wicked. Right, as a fan, love it. Karrigan gets a major, love it. He's back in the GOAT conversation. I'm a friend of Karrigan's, right? Like, I also have been nothing but praiseworthy for Muncie. I think as a young star, he's got a great head on his shoulders, and he's handled being in the spotlight 99% of the time.
Never ever fucked up on the Russia thing. Never done any stupid thing with women. He's killed it, hasn't he?
Yeah. So,
great
like,
role model for young Russian players.
I wish that group of 5 players played for anyone else. And then this would be what everyone says it is.
Right.
But unfortunately, I'm cursed to be looking at the big picture for the rest of my life. And Saudi tournament, Saudi team, and then all these other, we have to praise it like it's the biggest upset ever and all this other stuff.
I'll tie on
It's
to that.
crazy.
I'll give you a freebie. I'll chuck one on the pile for you. How about this? Remember back in the bad old days when we used to have like rules and standards and regulations? And back in the era of COVID, along came big old Valve, and they did that thing that they only do every few years where they go, actually, maybe we'll do something in CS. So they came in and they went, hey, everyone, you can't just own multiple teams and shit like that. So everyone declare right now, what do you own? Right? And remember, one of the key things around that era was Nicola Nyham, who I'll always say at this point, I actually feel sorry for because he's the bad guy who wasn't evil enough or big or scaled up enough. So he didn't get to do all his evil plans. But then some Saudis just to get to do literally his evil plans, but they're just allowed to do it by Valve. So he had to get his company refresh and divest it from Astralis so that Blast wasn't owned by the same people who owned Astralis, because that'd be fucked up, Richard. Imagine a small tournament, not even a major, where a team plays in it, where the tournament's owned by the people who own the team. This was just a major that was won by, I would speculate, because we can't know who owns Falcons, the same people who own the team that won the event. That will never sit right with me, by the way. That is insane, because that means at any moment you ever have a referee decision, a tech problem, and I have to immediately go, well, it's impossible. It is literally impossible for the person making that decision to be completely objective. They could have been. Even if they were doing the thing that I was told back in the day, you can believe it or not if you want, by refresh of like, well, if anything, actually, we used to go harder on Astralis to show we aren't biased. They used to go, how does that make sense, dickhead? How about just do it neutrally with no pour off against it? That you've almost given away the game now that you know that you can't be objective. So I will say that is crazy. The idea that like basically the tournament organ. I mean, people love to do that joke. I'll tell you what, Richard, there's another one for you. People love that gag when Falcons wins the collective EWC of like, it's Obama giving himself a medal. How is Saudis win? How is Falcons winning IEM Cologne any different than Obama giving himself a medal? This is the same as Falcons winning EWC by the same logic. Assuming it's the same people who seeded the company, I'm going to guess it was the PIF just through a different shell company. Isn't it the same people winning? I do think that's fucked up. I do think there should be some level where at that Valve level, you should have to have some separation, in my opinion.
I mean, the problem too is that there's no transparency in Falcons ownership whatsoever.
No one knows.
And that's the speculation as to why Riot wouldn't let Falcons buy an LEC team, because they were famously.
By the way, for people who don't know, this isn't some weird thing we're being weird about. In sports, you would have to declare this stuff. You would never be allowed to secretly own a football club, so that would never be allowed. No way.
Yeah. But basically they would have to disclose their ownership to Riot because that's part of Riot's rules.
Yes.
But for me, the real question is, and perhaps this is the reason why Valve has not really let ESL have a major in a long time. Perhaps Valve was wary of this particular circumstance from happening. But I am very surprised that Valve wouldn't flag this as a conflict of interest, right? Because it's not like they have a shortage of people wanting to run majors in particular. Sure, you can say, Valve needs ESL because there's a much broader ESL circuit at play with Pro League and IEMs and everything like that. But they don't have to let them run majors, and yet they do. And so you would think that part of this would be some level of disclosure of conflict of interest. And certainly, by the way, Valve has the power to say that everybody who competes in a major must publicly disclose their ownership.
They already did do this years ago. It's just they stopped doing, like many things Valve have done, they just gave up the initiative for whatever reason.
I mean, it's not just Falcons, by the way. Spirit do the same thing. Like, we're still none the wiser about their
their
ownership.
They should all disclose it.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, like the Falcons issue, though, is even without the disclosure, we know the Saudi Arabian state funds them because their sponsor is
doesn't it?
what's the Saudi Arabian telecom company?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is owned by
it's owned by
the Saudi Arabian state. You know, so like this isn't rocket science. So I mean, like I know, honestly, I knew sitting down to say this stuff out loud. I knew the next week is just going to be kids.
No.
You coping, you see.
And by the way, I'll give you another freebie, Richard. Here's how I know that your strategy is correct. Because remember, if you were actually trying to pick the best League of Legends team, you would actually pick Gen G the last few years. They've been consistently the best team over the majority. Instead, who did the Saudis partner with? Faker, the most beloved player ever.
Yep.
And how did they partner with him? Are you ready? Let's see if anyone who follows Premier League football sees how you did this. They didn't buy T1, Richard. That'd be ridiculous. That'd be obviously a conflict of interest. They just had a company that the PIF funds called Red Sea Global be one of the major sponsors of T1. And therefore you have Faker. So again, if you're going to hate Saudis and hate the EWC, you have to sort of hate Faker in a way. Faker's out here dreaming about meeting the fucking guy who does all the shit in their regime. And then also, you've done the thing, which again, shout out Manchester City and everyone who follows Premier League football. Yep. Oh, we don't own them. We just funnel all the money through a sponsor. Give me a break, mate. We've seen that one before. That's essentially ownership with extra steps. Except here's the problem. You'd never let someone actually own you without the rights through a sponsor unless they be in a normal circumstance, because then I could still have all the power. But in this scenario, it gives away the game that the reason you're letting them do that is they secretly just own the company and you'd probably get killed if you did anything otherwise. So also, they do the same in League, mate. I agree. Across esports, that makes it clear to me that the number one goal isn't actually have the best teams in sports wash. By the way, they could have bought like a Vitality or a NAVI or something like that years ago. I've no doubt with the money they have. What they want to do, as you say, is get the most popular players. They want the most, because the most popular players automatically make your brain do cognitive dissonance when you think about but do I think the Saudis are evil? If it's going, but I do sort of like modesty. No, yeah, that makes you think twice, doesn't it? Oh shit! That's why I said I actually think the most genius thing, regardless of whether they won the major, was just get karrigan. I think the most universally beloved CS player, who you put him on any stage, instantly he's going to win the fans over. Like that's actually, if I wanted people to stop booing me, that's what I would do
until they won. I mean, the shit he was catching. I mean, I made a video about it where I was like, I've never seen the scene hit karrigan before, and everybody was saying. I mean, by the way,
tested it right, yeah, tested it for sure.
I'll bring Maui in on this point. Another bad thing that's happened for the major is ultimately the level of what's acceptable as an individual player has been obliterated. We had the Hooksy line, which was like 0.81. The karrigan line is 0.71 for the tournament. He pushed it back a whole one, like so a whole 0.1. So I mean, yeah,
karrigan's individual performance at this one was it was actually,
I mean, it was comically bad.
Yeah. It actually led for me to scoreboard watch like I've never scoreboard watched before. I think there's two players that I scoreboard watch harder for, or it's pretty much just Donk, because you don't know how high the number is going to go, and then probably I'd say no, it's got to be karrigan at number 2 right now. Karrigan number 2 right now for sure. There's nobody else really. But that's just actually proving that karrigan can be the exception, that he actually can work with a group of guys, be the worst fragging player we've ever seen for an entire season of Counter-Strike, and regardless of that fact, be able to put the pieces together. Also, I will say, I mean, I personally have him as my MVP for the event, but more in kind of a value over replacement sort of way. Because of how he changed the face.
I mean, shit, man.
Of the team,
Nico agrees with you, man. He said something that.
By the way, I'll even make the obvious joke here.
And he couldn't even read it, Rich, because he blocked me. So, yeah.
Since roughly
independent thoughts.
Since roughly 10... No one gives a shit who blocked you, mate. Since 10 years ago. You just wish you saw this episode and unblocked you now. He's not going to, mate. He likes me more than you. So, literally almost 10 years ago was when...
It doesn't matter. He's still a choker, Thorin. He's still a choker.
We'll get to that.
Not as bad as you choked the whole major on your call stream, but don't worry about it. So anyway,
third highest English viewership, but that's fine. That's fine.
Only third. Listen, mate, you're
I'm a part-timer.
You're an active analyst on the events, and your pick and video for the playoffs got 11k. Man had 22k. I'm an old granddad that nobody even remembers me. If I'm irrelevant, what the fuck are you? You're hoping to be irrelevant one day. So keep trying, kid. We'll get in the game one day. So anyway. the thing about karrigan that I think is mad is this. This is why you all need to go back in time 10 years ago, like Valve, and revisit what they did. Because you are aware, if you just had the old thing where coaches could talk all the time, karrigan would never have to play another round of Counter-Strike in his life. He could just be the ultimate play caller, and he could just be the coach, and you could have a normal fragger in that could even be Gitsan probably, and you could just have karrigan call and do all the beautiful things with it. Because that's my problem. I've made this point a million times. People always tell me, I've heard this take a million times, karrigan should just be a coach. Here's why he shouldn't be. Because he wouldn't be able to do any of these things. He'd be able to talk 3 times a half in a timeout only, and he wouldn't ever be able to make a late round call where you switch to the other bomb site and rush it at the last second and it all works. So unfortunately, if you ever want that aspect to exist, but without karrigan being a bag fragger, you'd have to let him be a coach and talk. We'd have to redo that rule from 10 years ago, because this is why I wasn't against this move. Look, I didn't know it would work out this well. I'll even speculate it probably won't be this insane at all the other events, will it? Like, he'll either have to step his individual level up or he'll just lose. By the way, he could have lost many, many matches here, including in the group stage. He could have lost both the semis and the quarters totally. That his fragging did put them on the line, but it was fucking incredible what he was able to bring to the game outside. And if anything, I'd even argue him being so bad individually made it sort of even more fucking conspicuous what an insane impact he was having on everyone else, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll just say one of the narrative aspects that I hate. There was lots of whack narratives that kind of, because there always is. Fans have a tendency to, when you arrive at a point here, they retcon everything before it to align with the moment of history. Yes. It's why I always say, "What about today, dickhead?" Because everything's the way they think it is until it isn't, and then they just immediately retcon. Like the timeline was always going to arrive at that point, and they knew it the whole time. And when they were saying the opposite back here, they still knew they were going to be right here. You know, like that's what fans are like. Sure. And it's like, okay, so do we now have to pretend that Zonic and Falcons in general hasn't been incompetently run for 2 years? Do we have to pretend that? Because I'm not going to pretend that.
No, of course not.
I'm definitely not. This team is massively underachieved, even with this major. And I'll reveal some little tidbits of information for this episode.
By the way, I'll even say, I'll tie on to that. Here's why I actually hate that thinking in general, Richard. I'll give you the obvious example. I even heard them do this on the cast. The second that the Falcons won, Nico, now he's redeemed himself, boss. He hasn't. He should have 2 majors, dickhead. What are you talking? That doesn't make sense. Yeah. What? Yeah. And by the way, I can tell you, this is how I know you've never competed a day in your life. Do you know if you ever actually did interviews with the greatest winners ever? Like, the joke is Kobe Bryant won 5 rings. If you ever do an interview, he'll still bag on about the 2 he didn't win. Yes. Because in his mind, he should have 7. Yep. That's how a great guy. The way I know you're watching the Disney movie children's version of the story is you think the redemption arc is you win at the end and it makes it all justified. No, if anything, it makes it more epic you won at the end, but that's because of all the failures and the regrets.
It's the difference between Rocky and Rocky 2.
Sure, but in the same way as Nico's career was tortured right until that second he won this major, Falcons also did fuck up a billion chances to win majors and massive tournaments before. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
so it's like, look, we've arrived at a point now where Falcons win the major, which, by the way, when they brought karrigan in, I get quite a lot of information about Falcons. People are always sharing stuff with me. Okay. And when they brought karrigan in, right, don't believe any of that spin or bullshit they put out publicly that Singapore was the target. The whole point of it was Nico said, "I will never go to IGL unless I win my major first as a player." Yeah. Right? And then so they were like, what IGL can we bring in for 6 months to get us to a major winning point? So because Falcons are never selling Nico. Like, he is their jewel in the crown.
Makes sense. Yeah.
He's there for life.
He's been the magnet to get everyone else there too.
Exactly. That's why they put him up on the billboards and not Monte, right? Even though objectively Monte's the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But
he's a better player.
Yeah, but it's Nico's brand. Yeah. Yes, it's Nico's branding, right? Yeah, true. So how can we guarantee we keep Nico at the org long term? Well, he has to transition into IGL at some point, probably in his 30s. So, but he won't do that until he wins a major. And you know what it's like? Guardian kept saying, "I'm going to keep going until I win a major." Yeah, sure. Existence said, your boy Duncan, Existence said, "I'm going to keep going until I win a major." And sometimes you just don't. I mean, we're still waiting, right? And time just runs out from you. And so they looked in, they talked among themselves, said, "How can we get somebody in short term to give us all a lift?" And the only name they could come up with that was karrigan. And by the way, they brought him in for a pretty penny. He just re-signed with Fizz, is my understanding.
Right. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Because him and Frozen basically re-upped at the same time and said, "Look, there's no point going anywhere else." And then, of course,
I believe is part of why that was implied. There was some ill feeling because it's like you both just signed, and then you fucked off.
Yeah. So anyway, they brought karrigan in to win this major, not to win in Singapore, to win this major, and it's why losing in CSE in the final hit him so hard, because it was like, if this is how we're playing here, how the fuck are we going to lift that trophy in Cologne? And of course, obviously, it's karrigan. He's the greatest of all time. I mean, you can say arguably this probably cements it for now. I don't know what would have to happen for us to feel differently, but ultimately they had to win this major. It's like I was saying, they were under a unique pressure to come here and win this. And yeah, I mean, so that was the plan, and the plan has worked, and now everybody is fine, right? Like, everyone's pretending Falcons is a good org, zonic is a competent coach. No, you had one trophy in 2 years after spending 12 million. That's a conservative estimate, and it was a PGL Bucharest when no other big team attended that I worked, and it was with Degster. It was pre-Munacy. So you haven't even won a trophy until now with this lineup. You've been in finals, you've finished runner-up. So I've got to pretend that 12 million for 2 trophies is worth it because one of them's a major. I've got to pretend Zonic with 6 rings has been a competent coach in CS2. Wrong. He's a bum ass. And fucking karrigan fucking carried him to this ring. And also the other long-term plan is karrigan's going to have Zonic's job one day, probably. Right, that's obvious. Like, as soon as
that just the agreement for that. As well, yeah.
So
let me ask you a counterpoint then.
Yeah,
here's a counterpoint. Right, if Zonic last year signed like Keisuke, and actually Keisuke wasn't ready. You saw it took him quite a while to get going. In fact, you could argue until karrigan came, he hadn't really figured it out to be like a top player in the playoffs. Does Zonic get the credit and the blame for signing a Keisuke last year? When he did badly, did he blame him for signing it?
I mean, listen, I don't think Zonic makes the signings. I think there's a layer above him. Like, they signed Keisuke because he was popular, not because he was good. He didn't fit the team. I'm not a role sell, but the roles were all wrong for the Keisuke signing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right? Move Nico around,
right. Like, what? I got to move my fucking iconic star player because they just wanted to sign him because there was a fucking HLTV thread saying he was Donk 2.0 every time. When he made his debut, that was the most viewed game in like ESL Pro League or whatever it was. So I don't think Zonic's making the signings. But here's the problem then. What does he do? This has been the question.
Well, that was what I was going to say, because here's my problem.
What does he actually do?
I do think people treat Zonic as if he does all the signings and firings and that. They judge him accordingly. So I'll just say this. I said the same thing before. Kassad lost his fucking mind. I said to Kassad, you say Falcons. Listen,
I said,
you say... No, as in Kassad said that to me, but yeah, true. Right, I said to Kassad, you say Falcons is terrible at GMing. They've just got Nico and MonteCristo. By any definition, that's really good GMing. Those are 2 of the best players you can sign in the world for an national team. He refused to see it because he hates the Falcons. It's like, listen, mate, you can dislike everything else, but how many other teams can sign MonteCristo? Like, it's really hard. So I'll say the same thing. If Zonic did he did do something. He signed someone called karrigan that everyone in this call, I'm pretty sure, wouldn't have said would win the major if you signed him, and then he won the major with him. Do you not get any credit for that?
I mean, listen, I don't think Zonic does because I don't think he's making the decisions. But I'll definitely say, I mean, in terms of GMing, I mean, do you get the same plaudits if you've got a blank checkbook? I don't know.
Mate, I'll tell you right now, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong. If companies like G2, Vitality wanted to sign any player in the world, I'll give you the example. Let's get crazy. They're both at national teams. Let's say they wanted to sign Donk Richard.
Yes.
Right? Now, ignore BC game because those offers are stupid. Because those offers are like, do you want to join a team that isn't even a team yet? You play with Simple who might not even give a fuck about the game. And I've got the money, but that's all I've got, right? The reason everyone says no to that is because despite what fans think, pros don't really go for the money. They go for the money and the good team. That's the point, is if you can get both, they do it. That's why they do Falcons, right? So my point is, if you were G2 or Vitality, and Donk said privately, I'm willing to join, I think all of them could sign him. Even if it was 20 million, Richard. They could go to a sponsor, they could go to investors, and they could raise that money. But you know what? They never will do that, though. I mean, you must acknowledge they never will do that. That would be great. So I agree. You might not like where the money comes from, but even to sign superstars isn't easy.
Oh, no.
Again, people tell me Real Madrid does this all the time. Mate,
I just
think
really it's performance... Performance per expectation is one thing that I think Falcons is just so far behind, because if I look at pure achievements, the literal fake brand outsiders won as much as Falcons did. They won a DreamHack Open, which is essentially a PGL Bucharest of last year,
Sure.
or with Dexter, and then they won a major. And I don't think anybody is going out of their way to prove or to try to say that everybody on that team is a genius, that any GMing was done there that was exceptional or anything like that. So I think that it's almost just because Zonic has that reputation, that legacy behind him, that conversation is invoked.
In CSGO,
if it were just
totally
if it's just Falcons as a brand, if it's just Falcons as a brand, it's practically the same thing. I mean, Falcons, they missed 2 majors with Zonic. They made it to 1 major playoffs before this. They never won a major playoff game at all with this organization in the span of 5 majors until this major. That's basically outsiders. Like you're basically like, if I'm comparing outsiders to Falcons, I don't see much difference in achievement. And yet Falcons has spent, we know, way more money. I'd probably say upwards of 10x of what outsiders has spent. And they had much less time, by the way. So in a way, outsiders should be the GOAT. Outsiders should be the GOAT.
I think the point Richard making is a more appropriate one, which is he claims based on behind the scenes, Zonic's not doing any of these things. If that's true, then maybe he isn't doing anything.
I would expect Zonic is, though.
If people are going to publicly say the line, you built the team in 2025, that sucks, then by that logic, he built this team. And they just won the major. Which is it? You have to be fair one way or the other.
He's not making those. There's no way he's making those decisions.
Doesn't that make the karrigan storyline even better though? Because like the whole thing coming into the major was that he ditched FaZe because the FaZe didn't qualify, right? And then now you have him going all the way.
It's why I also pulled up a fucking overdrive. I rarely do it because he's a bit of an idiot, isn't he? But I think he's. Well, I can't say he's a harmless idiot. I just think he's just a bumbling fool. It's whatever. I don't take him as that malicious. I think he's just an idiot, mate. So that's why I pulled him up as soon as they won the major. Like, mate, sorry, you don't get to say any shit about karrigan now. You implied all he was doing was getting paychecks. Now he ruined FaZe. Well, he just fucking won the major over your boys, dickhead. So what now? Like, that's why I pulled him up on it, mate. Which is it? Because that's the other thing we're all doing now. Because everyone loves karrigan. Everyone is now pretending they thought karrigan would succeed here. Those are 2 very different positions that have been merged into one the second that trophy was won. And before that, it absolutely was not the case. I think a lot of people, I said it earlier, like, I think the second they lost to Legacy in the CAC final, most people would have said out loud, some people once called it, they'll never win a tournament. They'll never win a major. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I'm on record. I'm on camera saying I think they got karrigan at the wrong time. That if they'd done it a year earlier, they win everything. I don't think anybody truly expected them to
By the
lift
way,
the trophy.
I said this to Maui on second, I don't even pretend, by the way, that I say they would win with it. I say, I'm not joking. People think this is a gag, and it's not a gag. I actually believe in karrigan and simple in like a religious sense. I actually just believe like they can do things that is impossible. And I'll tell you what, I've been proven right more times than you would expect, but not every time.
No,
and I certainly didn't know
all the people who put your faith into 2 great choices
that's the thing. I think I pick them pretty well. I don't put them in like some random ass play. I tend to pick the greatest of all time that can exceed my expectations.
It's just hard. Like, so what we should do is we'll move on and we'll loop back round to the Saudi stuff. Because otherwise it will just turn into a Falcons and Saudi bashing episode. We've got plenty of those, Lord knows.
There's plenty of good stuff too.
Yeah.
There's stuff we haven't mentioned yet. I hope I want us to wrap back eventually.
Wait, before we do that though, I do want to give our last shout out to our Cologne shirt, by the way.
Oh, sure.
Because LFN has been we've been experimenting, guys, with doing some limited merch drops that are super cool. So hopefully, I know it's been going on in the CS show, but I'm wearing mine right now. It says Cologne 2026, and I'll show you the back real quick. This is Maui's idea, by the way.
Making it look good.
Look at you, Maui. Look at you. So multi-talented.
There is a Falcon on there. There is a Falcon on there.
There is a Falcon.
He'll be wearing a Falcon.
Put all the tournament favorites. We put the Nightingale because it's the national bird of Ukraine for NAVI. We have a dragon for Spirit. We've got the Panther for Furia. So these were the Falcon, obviously, for Falcons, the B for Vitality. So these were all the favorites coming into the tournament. So this is a limited drop. It will leave forever on July 1st at 11:59 p.m. So if you guys want to help us out, and also parts of the sales go directly to our CS hosts. So when you get one, you're supporting the host and our company to keep giving you independent media.
In other words, if you actually care about me, buy the shirt. But if you don't care about me, buy it for Maui.
And also, shout out to shout out to Atantalas who did our art as usual. I mean, the shirt is super dope, by the way, and it's also really high quality. Like the screen printing is incredibly high quality. It has tons of color. It's awesome. It's a really nice piece of clothing. I've been wearing mine constantly. So go out there, pick it up. It's at lastfreenation.shop. We'll leave a link below. It's called the Cologne 2026 Major Tee. If you're in the US, if you spend $60 or more, you get free shipping. So
there's
get
other
yourself
merch
some.
as well. You don't have to just buy that. There's other
Oh yeah,
t-shirts,
yeah. We've got all the
patches,
LFN stuff. We've got stuff for shows. We're going to continue to
mugs,
roll
all sorts
out,
of shit,
more stuff as time goes on. But we've been for like these big events like CS Majors or LOL Worlds. We've been really trying to like get the merch out there for you guys. So please make it worth it for us to do that and keep doing it. And then you can get a collection of like all the cool major shirts we'll make over the years, hopefully. Now, if you're busy out and about this summer, or you just spent your entire weekend glued to the CS Major like all of us did here on the Four Horsemen, you may not have had a lot of time to cook. And guess what? If you're a League fan, MSI is coming up right around the corner and you might find yourself in the same boat. Well, instead of overpaying for delivery and maybe making some questionable meal choices that might not be in the best interest of your health, maybe you should consider checking out Factor instead. Factor has meals actually built around your goals, whether that's weight loss, overall nutrition, more protein, or GLP-1 support. For strength and workout recovery, you can check out Factor's Muscle Pro collection. And every meal is also crafted with functional ingredients, lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole foods, and healthy fats. It bans 175 ingredients, so there's no artificial colors or sweeteners, no high fructose corn syrup, no refined seed oils, just nutrient-dense food. And the way Factor works is you sign up, you select the number of meals you want every week, and they deliver them directly to your house in a refrigerated box. It's never frozen. You just pop them right in your fridge, put them in the microwave, and they're ready in 2 minutes. So if you've been lacking time but still want healthy options that are cheaper than takeout and delivery, Factor is right for you. It's also extremely easy to use. You just select the meals you want every week. They have 100 rotating weekly meals, so it's never the same meals every single week. There's lots of new choices every week you pick, including Mediterranean and Asian food in themed food now. So there's always something new to look forward to. They also put tons of add-ins in there. You can add protein shakes, you can add breakfast, you can add salads. And if you ever go on vacation, all you have to do is just pause it. You don't pay any extra money. And when you come back, there'll be fresh food for you once again. So guys, you should check it out. The food's delicious. It's really good. It's much less expensive than you'd be spending and probably a lot better for you as well than the choices at least I would be making personally. So you guys can head to factormeals.com/horsemen50 off. That's horsemen plural, MEN 50 off. So horsemen 50 off, and use code horsemen50 off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with the new subscription only while supplies last until September 27th, 2026. See the website for more details. Factor's great, guys. Give it a shot, and you won't be disappointed. You'll also have some more time to hang out and play this summer outside instead of, spending it inside cooking where you may not want to be. So check out Factor again, horsemen50 off, and you'll get that 50% off and free daily greens in your box with a new subscription. So thanks a lot to Factor for supporting the Four Horsemen.
So I've got us how we can go right back to the beginning. I'll just toss this out. It's a statement, right? Obviously, ever since the major is essentially folded the minor in to this stage one of the major, a lot of people criticized it because the game's usually shit. It drags the major out.
Why is it an extra week now? I mean, we've talked about this before when these formats were released, but stage one, I mean, my God.
This is my thing. The best stage one there's ever been since we included stage ones, ?
The ending of it is obviously the best. It's the highlight for sure. I mean, NRG big, of course, mentioned it before, but I'll say that the Budapest one was pretty interesting, mostly because FaZe made it interesting. The defuse that, History was trying to do on the lower bomb side of Nuke, but then he didn't actually right click a smoke, so karrigan kills him with 1 second less on the defuse. And I mean, I think that one was pretty tense too, but in terms of actual competition, there were actually weirdly some good teams. I mean, Bet Boom was a surprise of this major as well.
What a
the fact
revelation.
that they were able to punch through stage
With
1,
a
2, and 3
makes as well, which is ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, true, technically. Yeah.
Which is why Boomich deserves a little bit more credit for doing something that only karrigan has done now as well, to make it from stage 1 all the way to the playoffs. I think that there were aspects of stage 1 that I definitely liked. There were some that I didn't like. I mean, I'll even go to you know what? Yeah, I mean, I think this is a show filled with a lot of production people that have worked on broadcast. So I think that stage 1, there were some bad choices. I think the talent could have done better in a couple different aspects. I've never felt I'll be real. I never felt less prepared watching two teams that are from tier 2 than I did through this one. I don't think that I ever really got a new narrative or storyline. And I'm going to tell you right now, and not even using myself, Dust would have prepared the fuck out of some of these teams. Like Dust would have absolutely done all the homework necessary to make sure that I know everything that there is to know about Thunder Down Under, instead of just the general, they don't have a lot of tier 1 experience. Like there's other talent that weren't at this one who I know would have given their lifeblood in order to tell the stories of some of these teams, and I just never felt like that happened.
This was the problem that, I ran into in League of Legends too, which is that when some of these minor region teams showed up, most of the other casters would not do the research. And yet part of doing the podcasts and shows was that Thorin and I were always able to reach out, and in our preview episodes for like the World Championship or whatever, we would get casters or coaches from the minor regions to come on and actually do like an hour breakdown of these teams. So as a result, I was much better prepared heading into international events. And in fact, even to this day, by the way, one of the primary ways that the casters research these minor regions is by watching LFN shows where we actually go into it. And like, it's shameful, honestly, because these people have all of the resources in the world to talk to these people and to make content with them, and they're just fucking lazy, and they don't. And that's really depressing.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, obviously I didn't watch a lot of the broadcasts because I was doing the No Majors Club. So I don't know if I can talk too much about that. I will say there was definitely some production fumbles that you usually get, and this is one of these things that I also despise, and it's very clear that there's some fuckery at play. Because if PGL gets a graphic wrong, like as in the teams are the wrong way round, it's on the front page, and people go,
the sound is the classic.
Richard, I just want to touch on what you said earlier, which is like, guys, Reddit is insanely astroturfed. Okay.
Yes,
I mentioned this before, but I literally know from companies telling me, oh yeah, we send a bunch of accounts, we hire people to like make comments and upvote stuff. And by the way, Richard, I would not be surprised, here's your tinfoil hat for the day, if it's actually some agents of ESL who are making these posts and promoting them.
Sure. That goes. I mean, we saw them do it for the documentary, right? The Saudi documentary about the esports World Cup.
Like on IMDb, the reviews.
Yeah,
on IMDb,
yeah. Well, no, but I mean, they were geolocated. They were geolocated to two places, and it was like Cologne and fucking Riyadh. It's like, I wonder what's going on there. Like,
it's okay. We fixed it for them. But I don't know if you know this, but
power cut. There was a power cut.
Yeah.
The lights went out in week 1, right? And do you want to know what the front page thread about it said? Shout out to production for making sure the PCs didn't power out when the lights went out. Bro, that is basic electrics. Like, have you ever worked on a building? You don't put your lighting loop on your main fucking power loop. That would mean if a light bulb blew, everything goes, you mad cunt. That's just basic electrics. Like, what are we doing? Get on a fucking building site, you mad bastard.
By the way, that's also another thing about the Saudi angle that is negative. I wish, please, if I could beg the scene to stop doing something, it's this. Stop hearing that someone has loads of money and assuming that means they frivolously spend money. That's not how anyone gets a lot of money. You get money by not frivolously spending and being a spendthrift. So anytime you're spending, like sports washing, you're not even being a spendthrift there. That is what it costs to sports wash. Yes, sometimes if you have a really dodgy background, you might have to pay someone twice as much to work for you, not $1 over the amount like BT Games trying to do. So as a result, I do think one area about ESL that is never brought up is, even when I didn't work with ESL and said I wouldn't, did I not to this day say they run the best events, they have the best production?
Yep.
I noticed the second the Saudis bought them, it feels like the production's got worse. It feels like they have cut corners, they have fired key people, they've hired probably people not as much money, and it feels like it went from what I thought was the best broadcast in all of esports to, it might be, but if it is, it's marginal. I do think it's worse, unfortunately.
To balance it out, right, I will say, I think in terms of aesthetic, I hate the Cathedral and Counter-Strike stuff. I hate how they...
By the way, I'm just going to say this now. I actually, as someone who's reconnected with the ideas of God, I think that's just actually an affront to the concept of spirituality. That you would have people who are literally hardcore fundamentalist Muslims who in their country enact what we would call civil rights violations on a daily basis and kill people on the basis of their religion, then saying, as Muslims, we're going to, with our major brand, run a fucking tournament where as a gag, it's all about Christianity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, look.
How fucking dare you?
You
know, if I made a tournament where I mocked using their broadcast Islam, it would be fucking shut off tomorrow and I would never be able to enter their country. I would be murdered if I did. That's not a joke. People think I'm just trying to find something to make
No.
That is insane.
I
Here's the key thing. Here's
Yeah.
the key thing, Richard. You don't have to do it. You could just drop that whole thing as a thing of the past and just make a new thing about what Cologne is and make a new thing about being the hub. You don't have to do the whole angle.
Yeah, so, but I will say the aesthetic was fire with the stained glass.
Oh, it looks
I was
really
gonna
good.
say, I was gonna say,
good.
I thought I personally liked it. I didn't put 2 and 2 together on that aspect. I thought the stained glass of all of the team's logos
in
looked
the
so
finals,
good.
the stained glass like Gothic windows that they had looked dope, man. And if anything,
Yeah, you know what? The Crusader aesthetic looks pretty dope too. People find that offensive, but not Monte. Weird that, isn't it? Yeah. Weird that.
But I think if
So
you actually
please
look
don't wear my fucking culture and religion as a skin suit when you're doing your tournament, maybe, you know.
I actually I think that is a valid point. But I think if you look at just the aesthetic, like they nailed it. And what I really appreciated was that the finals.
Yeah, that's the theme of this episode. If you just ignore all the substance and real life consequences, and
See,
all
you
you
don't
the
ignore the
surface, everything's
subtext.
great.
It's
the best
awesome.
Ever. There's never been a better time to live.
Correct.
What's good, Monty?
But here's the thing. Like I think the production people who are designing these elements like are pretty separated from that.
of
Like I
course.
agree that it's weird.
Of course.
But I think if you take the actual work that the production team did and you look at the aesthetic elements, if you look at the finals and the way I really appreciated how we went back to orchestral music, for example, as the intro. I think just the camera work they did with the drone work they did inside the stadium was really good.
If
by
people
the way.
don't know,
Yeah,
they used
true,
to just do
true.
that spider cam. The drone looks even sicker when
Yeah.
it moves.
The
Like,
drone-
it zooms. That
you
looks
know,
amazing,
so
doesn't it?
how many?
Yeah, there was
how
a
many
lesson
times have we
learned.
talked about like cringe player walkouts? But the combo of like the player walkouts and introduction with the drone camera work and the stained glass and the orchestral music, it was dope, man. Like it got me ramped
Also,
up.
you've got
flags too,
OJ
actually,
Borg
okay.
there as well.
Yep.
So he is so fucking good, and the scene obviously does miss him, which isn't to denigrate anyone
No,
else's work. I
It's
just
just
think
the best. Yeah.
I just think OJ Borg
No,
just
he's the
sets
best,
like a
man.
new standard, and you could see as well, like even early on, like he had, you could see like his enthusiasm just to be back was like very infectious and very apparent in the clips that I saw as well. Not to mention, I thought like, I know we're jumping ahead again back to the Falcons winning. I thought like OJ was probably the only guy that could have got what he got out of Nico. Nico was clearly overwhelmed, doing that like stoic, doesn't want to fucking cry because
exactly.
Gassad will say, "Are you a man? If you win a trophy," So it didn't want to cry, and OJ managed to get him to answer the questions without the emotion bubbling out by kind of taking the mic away at the right moment. So I mean, look, all the walkouts were sick, all the drone work sick, camera work sick, aesthetic sick, but
also I always say best trophy in esports. You cannot fuck with that
agree.
trophy, man.
Also
Having
agree.
the Champions League, so it's mega in it.
Well,
what a dope trophy.
mate, hold on. I'm going to pull your card on that one. I fucking hate that ESL, particularly Cologne, are doing these double trophy walkouts now.
Oh, I didn't even know that was the thing.
Well, yeah, because it was Olaf and who was the other one, Maui?
Oh, yeah, Cold Zera.
Cold Zera.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, like, guys, the trophy gets walked out once.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck if you've got to, because, like, for me, you either bring an old player that's won it out.
Yeah.
If you bring two that have done it, like, what are we doing? We're sort of taken away from the other one. You only need one trophy walkout. I mean, this is the thing where they fucked up before because they had, was it at the previous Cologne, was it Pasha brought it out?
Yeah.
So they had
It was
Pasha
either
bring it
Cato or
out.
Cologne, yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they did it at Cologne, which makes less sense, but whatever. They do that. And then they had Apex bring the trophy out because they were like the reigning champions. And that was when, of course, the guy screamed the fucking N-word at the top of his voice down the microphone. So they had to delete the second trophy walkout, which by the way had this like epic and
camera work was all dope.
and as Apex lifts up the trophy and about to put it down, unbelievable. So I just do one trophy walk ESL. There's no need to do two. This is what I mean. Unfortunately, the problem I've got with Cologne as their prestige event is they huff their own farts, something insane about it. Like we need 2 fucking trophy walkouts. Everything's epic. It's the Cathedral and Counter-Strike. We're back in the have you been to the fucking Lanxess Arena? It's actually pretty shit. Like, it's not a great arena. I've certainly been to better, like for real sports and stuff. But it's like,
Wait a minute. It kicks the shit out of every single arena PGL's ever been into in their life, Richard.
Might be true. I
just saying that. I think that's pretty impressive confidence since you worked their events, bro.
Yeah, but like I've never.
There's in bumfuck nowhere. There's on some kind of easy shit. This is the Lanxess. It's like a proper modern stadium.
I've never declared any of those stadiums to be a cathedral.
Yeah, I'm just letting everyone know the context.
You know.
And also, by the way, I won't do a whole thing on it, but that was always one of my pet peeves from day one. Yes, I have an obvious bias. I literally said before working at Katowice is a shithole. But like, I've hated the fact that Carmack, because he is Polish and his mum made great fucking pierogi, had to gaslight me for fucking 12 years that the real flagship tournament was in Katowice. By the way, they're not even in Katowice anymore because even that isn't where you choose to be in Poland out of choice. They're in Krakow now, which was always better. I even would have told you it was better back then. So is Warsaw. So the idea that you had Cologne the whole time, by the way, Cologne probably the highest aggregate great event in the history of CSGO, and instead you pretended that was the red-headed stepchild in the attic. But now magically, because it's all you've got left because you moved from Katowice, so you have to build a new history in Krakow, you now suddenly decide Cologne was the best all along. Yeah, that's just how stupid ESL are, man. That's just ESL shit.
So my other conspiracy theory for why I don't get hired for ESL stuff is because I came up with that air quality bit about Katowice.
Oh wow!
Which I actually think Carmack might have taken personal offense to that one. Like exposing the one fact about it that is entirely noticeable as soon as you walk in.
But if you were to ask Thorin, based on his long history of knowing Carmack, would Carmack take the fact that objectively and scientifically Katowice is shit as some sort of outrageous statement of hatred, as opposed to the uncomfortable truth? I'll just put my cards on the table. I said this literally 10 years ago to Richard. You would never hear me go, "Oh my God, IEM Middlesbrough, this is going to be amazing." I know that's a shithole. I come from there. The difference is I never go, but wait a minute, Mum's nuggies are really delicious though, so maybe this is awesome. That's Carmack, man. That's ESL.
What was funny is because when you went on Maui's co-stream and you dropped that complete history of your beef with Carmack,
essentially Maui had to realise he might not be getting hired to events because I argued with Carmack on IRC in 2000.
Yeah, I know, right?
Which is like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, you have to realise the
butterfly effect is
crazy.
What was hilarious was Carmack was actually in that thread when the clip on Reddit. He commented in there saying, like, this is a clip of me working with Duncan after our supposed beat. It's like, yeah, you've obviously worked together. That wasn't
by the way, you'll love this as well, Richard. You know that entire thread about that topic? The topic was never, this is why Thorin doesn't work with the ESL.
Yeah.
So that's why even Carmack was wrong about that, right?
Yeah.
What that was about was why it's possible Maui might not anymore work with the ESL. So as usual, everyone did a gotcha in the thread, but they didn't even know the context of the video. I never ever said it was about why I didn't work the event. Like, again, do you think I'm not aware?
That was just what the Clipper put as the title.
Are people genuinely suggesting I'm not aware I worked majors in like 2016 with the ESL long after an argument in 2001? Is that genuinely the position we're putting forward to?
I'm afraid so. But back to the stage one review. We'll talk about something game related now instead of doing our greatest hits. I will say it proved once and for all Liquid might be the worst GM'd organization in all of Counter-Strike history.
Or the most cursed, at least.
Cursed, I'm not having it.
But the names they sign are good. They all go to shit when they join. Evil Geniuses is way worse.
They're not good. Good names get more than 2 rounds against FlyQuest. I think we all need to accept that. By the way, also, what a perfect comeuppance for the shit way that they backdoored themselves into Cologne in the first place, where they traded an objectively better player for a worse one.
I'll add on to it, Richard. Let's make it worse. If anything, wasn't this the ultimate justice from the gods? Because not only did they sneak in a major by changing to a different region, then an even shitter smaller region eliminated them from stage one of the major.
Yeah, exactly.
Chef's kiss right there.
This is what I mean. There are some incredible narratives at this major, by the way. I mean, I'm going to probably bang on it some more later on.
FlyQuest's not even good. We're not even hyper FlyQuest.
No. But I mean, that's like, put it this way: if you're Team Liquid hey, to go through to the next stage of a major, you just have to win a best of 3
Yeah.
against FlyQuest.
Like,
They
he's a bit-
didn't get more than 10 rounds in 2 maps. And it's just abysmal. I mean, put it this way, I think if it was me, I would just blow up that roster tomorrow. I would just get rid of it all. I don't understand how their GM, Joker Steve, he's been there for 10 years. He's been the GM for 10 years. And with the exception of the insane flash in the pan Grand Slam of like 2019, they've achieved very little, like next to not much. And he still has a job. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. That seems crazy. I would imagine the fans must be absolutely sick of hearing his name, and they must be sick of this sustained period of failure where they're signing, like Duncan says, theoretically good names, right? But I mean, by the way, they're going to do your thing now, which I fundamentally disagree with both of you on. It looks like they're going to pick up JT. I think that's just going to be a continuation of failure, but whatever. We'll talk about that on a podcast somewhere down the road. But I mean, this to me was like the best thing about this stage. I didn't want Liquid to go through it all, and for them to get banged out in this fashion, delicious. Loved it. Loved everything about this.
By the way, I'll just say this. As far as I know, I don't claim to be an expert. It's just based on conversations I've had. One of the real problems here is this. This is one thing I don't like about Team Liquid. You're right. They do list Joker Steve as their general manager. I wouldn't ever call him that. I would call him the team manager. If you think of the person who books the flights, make sure that's what I've always seen his role as, is friends to the players. As far as I know, like Nazgul, Victor, of whatever his name is, he just runs that thing as like a puppet regime, and he does all the moves, and then he just has the guy with the GM title, Joker Steve. Yeah, I agree. I think you should just hire a proper GM, or make it clear you're the one making the moves, so then people blame you. I think whoever, again, if you want responsibility, it has to come with accountability. If you want to have power, it has to come with accountability, surely.
Yeah.
I mean, if I want to run the Zonic defense though for Joker Steve, if Liquid go on to win an S tier event, I mean, then you just have to look back at everything, and he was never a fraud. You know,
true.
It's all part of the journey.
It was all part of the journey.
Maybe the real GM, it was the tournaments we lost on the way to our win.
Also, the thing to Joker Steve's credit, you know, he's not missing majors like Zonic did, so I think that deserves a little bit of credit. He found a way, unlike all those rosters, Falcons with simple.
Sonic was coming from the hardest reach.
Can I also, as well, while we're just talking about stage one, and I realize I'm coming across quite curmudgeonly and miserable this episode, so I'm just I'm
that's
just
a change. All right.
I got something else to say about it.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, for negative things about stage one, I mean, I would just ask Monte, as someone that's, you know, more of an objective bystander to broadcast, would you find it acceptable that your official interviewer, especially for losers interviews, winner interviews, is wearing a graphic hoodie? Do you think a graphic hoodie is acceptable apparel for any part of a major?
So there's a couple answers to this. Like, it depends on the game and the audience, but for Counter-Strike in particular, no, because Counter-Strike tends to have an older audience. And like, here's the thing. We have to have a unified aesthetic. We can't have a finals with stained glass and orchestral music and have graphic hoodies beforehand. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that certain people love their streetwear and like Machine's all about it or whatever, and you see it on the broadcast. For me, I think for Counter-Strike, it doesn't make a lot of sense because the demographic is older. Now, if this was Valorant, maybe.
But that's a unified aesthetic.
In fighting games, yeah.
They're putting chains on esports. Doug, you know, they're doing all
that.
I'll
tell you, since I agree with you guys. By the way, you can have this aesthetic if you want to do Home Story Cup or Beyond the Summer. Yeah, of course.
Sure.
I'm with you though. This is what's jarring. No matter what you feel about suits and apparel, you can't have people like Freya and Shock dressed to the nines, looking fabulous, like they're going to the Met Gala or something incredible, and then have a person in a hoodie like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like that. That is just jarring visually. Absolutely.
Yes. So, but my answer is in this particular case, no. Right.
Yeah.
Like you said, the FGC would probably be a good place for it. Like, you could absolutely have a casual streetwear aesthetic, but I do think it is a mistake to the brand that you're going for. And like, it's not only just that it's Cologne, you know, and they had decided this, it's also a major.
Yeah,
you know?
it's that aspect of it. If it were ESL Pro League, they can wear whatever they want. They're on couches. There's props. There's prop humor there. Like, just wear whatever you want. But I don't think that on any portion of a major, you can dress up. You know, you can scale it up. You could add the tie. You could add the blazer. But day one's got to be bare minimum. I'd say a not like a no brand sweater at least.
Smart casual at least.
Yeah, smart
like,
casual.
smart casual,
Basically
come on.
smart casual. Basically, it has to
Yeah,
be smart
just
casual.
wear
Yeah.
a collared shirt and a waistcoat.
I
You
mean,
know what
how
Like-
we generally do it when we're working the PGL events together, Maui and Dust and I and everybody else, we generally get smarter as the event progresses. So
Sure,
we're
yeah,
usually
yeah.
we're usually in a suit by the final. But
Yeah,
you know,
great.
day one, week one, smart casual, you know, nice jeans, nice shoes, a sweater, you know, and then you ramp it up. Obviously, for Cologne, because it's being billed as a prestige event, and like I say, I mean, like I don't know where Freya gets her wardrobe from. It's
She
fucking,
kills it every
it's
time.
just
It's unreal.
unreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the quality of all of her clothes. You know, obviously, if you're sat next to that with a fucking, you know, and you just got 100 Thieves hoodie on or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck, yeah, you look like an asshole.
Well,
Like,
it's also that at least
Good
at least
reference
in
there
the,
to the hoodie.
Thank you.
you know, in the earlier stages of the tournament too, when production value is less necessarily, right? Especially in the first stage, the way that you signal that this is still a prestigious event is by looking prestigious, right? Because the
Yeah.
production doesn't, there's no orchestra there, right? You know, you can't counter signal it.
No, don't get me
So-
wrong. I would abolish all of that tomorrow. I would just be like, you know, we should connect with our audience. I agree. CS is older, but you always, for the major, you always get an influx of young fucking
Sure.
scrubs that know nothing about the game. They're just
Yes,
there to rubberneck and
but
see the
Richard,
event.
it's time for them to grow up and be a part of the adult esport. You know,
Yeah,
we're done
maybe.
with, you know, baby's weeb CS called Valorant, and it's time for you to learn what.
I mean,
Yeah,
what
I just think it's an event to event decision and something that
Yeah,
should be a
fair
unified
enough.
aesthetic from the get
But
go.
also, like, if
Yeah,
like,
you've
let
got
me
to
flip
all
this
match.
question.
I mean, that's the key.
That's the thing. That's the main thing for
Let me flip
me.
this question back at you guys. Like,
Yep.
if it's okay to dress down for stage one, then why the fuck is stage one part of a major? You're signaling yourself that it shouldn't be there, that it's not as prestigious, that you don't give a shit.
I mean, for me, I just think, like, obviously as well, there are like some logistical issues around. If you travel to an event that's 3 weeks long, best fucking will in the world, you're gonna have to cash it up a couple of days. Because even if you have a good suit rotation, right, and a good shirt rotation and a good tie rotation, you're gonna have to put them in to like dry clean or wash at some point in 3 weeks, right? You know,
I mean, ESL should be paying
unless
for that,
like Duncan will tell you when Semler used to do it at E-League, he would bring like 2 fucking suitcases full of.
I mean, I used to do that.
Yeah, he had a suit for every day, which to me is just like, I'm not going to travel like that. That's fucking madness as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, you've got to be unified. I mean, you know, it's a silly thing. People at home probably won't care about it, but I mean, it's like, it's the things that you notice when you're in the biz, I guess. Although,
Yes.
it didn't, it wouldn't have, I wouldn't have even registered it, but it's like I say, you've got literally like every day Freya and Shocks turn up, wardrobed up, you know, OJ's there looking great as well in the late stages. So it's like, you know, people are y'all got to come together and just be like, I mean, we do it. It's silly little things. What color jacket are you going to wear tomorrow? Oh, you're not wearing a jacket tomorrow. Okay, I won't wear a jacket tomorrow. You just hash that out in the green room and then nobody notices.
But yes,
I'll never allow anyone on a podcast I'm on to dare tell me from the fans or the community that you don't think you should be allowed to comment on what people wear at a fucking major, you fucking twats. People don't know I worked the first CS major ever at an event that explicitly was allowing you to wear whatever you wanted, including t-shirts. And for probably 2 days, everyone in the industry and fans commented on was that I was unprofessional for wearing sports jerseys.
Yes.
So if you do that to me, you don't then later get to go, hey, easy up, man. It's fucking gaming. Like, you all did that to me. And in fact, you even did it on the angle of I'm the reason why esports isn't like professional sports because I'm holding it back with the Lakers top on.
Now, curmudgeonly point, because I said this on my co-stream, and I wanted to get your guys' take on it. The NRG big comeback, right? Great game, one of the best games that's ever been in a stage one. Not because the quality was high. This is foreshadowing. We're going to talk about the quality of the playoffs. People are saying it's the best playoffs ever. It isn't, but whatever. NRG versus Big had a really good comeback. It was really close. It was sloppy. It was messy. It was entertaining, more entertaining than NRG Big had any right to be. But here was the thing. Grim was all chatting in that game. And he said at halftime something along the lines of like, I hope we can win one more, right? and then they didn't win one more, and they lost in overtime. With
a little bit of humorous,
right? Yeah, right. And now he was just joking around.
Yeah, of course,
right?
of course.
If you're my player, don't type in all chat.
I
Don't
know.
type anything. You say GG when we win. That's it. And I just thought, again, the hubristic aspect of it, because you're trying to make light of it. By the way, that would have been one of the, if you'd 13-0'd big, that would have been one of the worst times, of their, there's no lightening the mood for them. So what are you even trying to achieve at this moment in time? So I just wanted to get your opinion on that, because I thought that you would just be, to go full Kassad for a moment, I would just fire you the next day. But
it's sweet. I feel a lot less sorry for him losing the match now after he did that. Yeah. Because on that one, I don't, you know what, Richard, I'll even go one further. I think just because he comes off on camera like a timid mouther, mate, I don't know that you do all chat that to riff their mood. That sounds like your mind gaming them or something, like you're trying to fuck with them.
Maybe.
That sounds like a needle, mate. If someone did that on a poker table, you'd have a fist fight. That's outrageous. I think you might have won and then you turn the aces over and you won the card. Like, fuck you. Yeah, that's actually considered really bad form.
I don't know how, obviously I can't jump into his mind and read his intentions, but I don't know. I don't like it when players all chat in general when a game is active. I think it's sort of, it's too fraught with peril. But that, to me, if I'm the NRG manager, I'd be livid. I'd be livid.
Problem is, beggars can't be choosers. He's their best player, and he's
true.
What they do.
Yeah, they showed what he said at halftime also. He had a little line that was like, hopefully we get it. They showed the comms aspect there. And then he actually looked at Nitro and said, how do we get it? And then it's just, I don't think, the thing is that I think you can say the all chat aspect of it is probably, it's a little BM for my taste, but the whole joking with your teammates on, I hope we get it, that should just lighten the mood. That should just kind of loosen everybody up. So I'm not too peeved on it. I think that though Grim is kind of an example case of why so many leaders who may be as good of tacticians as karrigan aren't as good of IGLs and overall as karrigan, because karrigan just has that. He has that swagger that people like Grim just don't have. He can say, if he says something, you almost feel like it's this about to cry, nervous energy coming out of Grim. But when it's someone like karrigan saying it, you'd literally laugh. He has the timing, he has the delivery. Just being a more mature person means that whatever he says hits a little bit harder. And that's kind of what I've heard from people who played with karrigan too, that it's not even necessarily the call, it's the way he gives the call that can actually make you believe in it. That extra 10% more, which will help you focus and win that fight that you otherwise might not.
Yeah, valid.
The Four Horsemen has a new sponsor this week, and it is Zen AI, the home of vibe casting, which is a new way to capture and share conversations. Think of it like you would a vibe coding app like Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork made it possible for just about anyone, regardless of coding skills, to build big ideas. And similarly, Zen AI helps anyone turn a conversation into something worth sharing. So you can use it to make podcasts, reels, TikToks, etc., but you don't need production skills. So if you've been intimidated from making content by not having a lot of technical know-how, well, Zen AI can help you. And right now, they're paying new Vibecasters to create their first Vibecast. For example, you could create a sportscast about your favorite team, and with Vibecasting, you get paid to do it. So you could Vibecast it live as the game happens, or you can record your analysis afterward and clip it from there. It's also portable. Your phone is the studio, and the heart of Zen AI is an AI producer. So the producer itself handles the edit from audio cleanup to the creation of share-ready clips. You collaborate with the AI producer conversationally. So you talk to it to make audio and video edits just by chatting in plain English. So you don't have to worry about the technique of editing itself. You can bring your vision to life just by describing what you want to Zen AI. It's very quick. You hit record, have a conversation, and a draft of your sportscast is ready. And it can be done by the time the game is over to get it out super, super quick. So humans are the talent. AI is just infrastructure, and it brings the production to you. So Zen AI is currently in an invite-only beta. So join the waitlist today for a chance at early access. Go to zen.ai to sign up, or head to the link in the description below if you just want to click on that instead. So thanks to Zen AI, and hopefully we'll see you guys creating content of your own out there. And we really appreciate the support for the Four Horsemen.
I guess we can jump ahead to stage 2. I think that we touched all the big points in stage 1. I've got stage 2 in front of me here. Let's start with Astralis.
Okay.
Yeah, this was an interesting one because the general consensus in the pundit class was that Astralis were on an upward trajectory. That this by going international, they had finally sort of broke the paradigm of just endlessly recycling, Danish players. Some of whom just weren't ready for the top spot, and they didn't really seem to be capable of developing them. Moving on from Stown as a paper tiger as well, a star player that very rarely put in star performances. Everybody had a good feeling about Astralis for this major event. Dark horses, certainly I think most people had them going through to the next stage or getting close to it. But in reality, they were pretty bad. I mean, started good with the Gamer Legion win, but then pretty much...
Astralis were on the uptick. Okay, I'm not going to be revisionist about it. I mean, for a team that, as an organization, they missed 5 majors in a row by sticking with Danish talent that was washed.
And they had Device. They had Device.
They had Device. They kept what they do? They kept Zipniks probably too long at points. They had
Magus at the end. They had all the big names, mate.
Yeah, they had a lot of legendary players, but it wasn't really ever the right constellation. This on paper felt a lot better. Technically, at Budapest, they did place better, and that was with the Danish lineup. But that was a very poor placing, crashing out in I think it was end of stage 2. It was also stage 2, I'm pretty sure, actually. So they also had a very poor showing there. I think they lost in the 2-2 game, actually. So it was just like one win better than what we got. But the tournament or this season looked better. Okay. I mean, they came in top 2 at Bucharest. I mean, I thought that they probably had a better chance against Foot than what we saw there. They got a 3rd place at ESL Pro League by beating Foot, which is also an up-and-coming team. They were able to just win a couple of games here and there. Like at ESL Pro League to get to top 3, they beat Spirit in the quarterfinals. I mean, that result alone made you believe in the project in a way that I haven't really believed in Astralis in any sense for 5+ years. Legitimately, that I actually was thinking that this project had legs. And so, but the writing was unfortunately on the wall. When you watched the Blast Rivals Fort Worth event, when you watch the IEM Atlanta event, they let you hear the comms pretty often from ESL, from Blast, and every single game, it was the same bitching and moaning and coming out of their team. They were saying that we're not communicating, no one's taking responsibility, no one's taking ownership of their actions, there's no accountability, like constantly just inner turmoil and frustration anytime you're patched into what they're doing. And that was just more than apparent here at Cologne. I mean, Hooksy was the one that got, or wait, actually, is Hooksy out or is it Rugga out right now officially?
It's Rugga at the moment.
Officially Rugga's out right now. It seems like there's talk about Hooksy possibly leaving too. And so the management considers this a leadership issue for the team. And I have actually a hard time disagreeing with them, because at the beginning of the team, or at least kind of the middle of the season, I thought a lot of stuff was clicking here. But then for some reason, there was just a lack of belief in the project, probably not the calls that weren't setting up these kinds of players. Because I look at the guys on the team and I don't see really world beaters. I think their best player by and large is Stair, who's kind of worked his way up from being sort of a support player, role guy for Astralis in the past, and then earning his position as being the star. He's playing all the best rotator spots, like Connector on Mirage is the most famous one, and he gets to play all of those now. And but for whatever reason, this team just lost all gas. Like I don't know what happened. It's like the fuel tank had a leak or something, because it just completely just kaput everything,
particularly on the T
lost.
sides as well. To be clear, this is why Hooksy's carrying the blame. They didn't get a lot of T sides at this stage.
Worst T side round win percentage of any team at the entire major, regardless of stage.
Yeah.
So they just awful offenses.
Yeah.
My problem is, though, if you actually look in hindsight now, it's not that crazy in elimination. Like, first of all, they beat Game Legion. Game Legion was a good team for this tournament. They lost to 9Z. 9Z made a playoff from it. That ended up not looking that bad. Those are BO1s too. The problem is, you can't lose to Tyloo and then a best of 3 to Pain. Those two are unacceptable results, especially the Pain one. Like I didn't think Astralis was some world beaters. I thought at best they could have snuck into the playoffs. That would be it. But the idea of Pain just beats you in a 2-0, Pain themselves aren't anywhere close to a powerhouse team. They if they go to a normal tier 1 tournament, you probably won't even see him in the playoffs. So I don't hate this, the idea they fire Rogger. If they actually fire Huxley, I think they might be out of their minds, because all I would say is this. I've told Maui this a million times. I don't think of this team as Astralis with all the history and the baggage. Like, I actually think as soon as you went international, and in fact, you even went budget international, you have to take off the name Astralis and just evaluate the team for what it is. And the team for what it is with those players, I don't know that you're going to get a better IGL than Huxley. Like, again, unless you're gambling on the kick Sam one, it sounds like he's going to a better team, by the way. Yep. I don't know who you're getting in the door who's better. So my problem with Huxley was always he wasn't in any way qualified to lead a G2 team with Morrissey, Nico, some fucking incredible players. I think actually this level of team is appropriate. I think he's all right as an IGL. So I wouldn't make that. I do think the Rugger one is fine, though, because no one knows what Rugger did. He's been around the scene a long time. Obviously, he wasn't doing a great job, I imagine. So I think that's fine to do.
This is one of these interesting ones where it's like it very reminiscent, I think, of like the Team Liquid schism, when it was like, do you back the coach, or do you, like Zeus, or do you back Stanislaw? And when something is irreparably broken down, and it does look to me like, I mean, just on the face of it, if you cut Hooksy but no one else, like, we're going to pretend Ryu had a good tournament, are we? No
you
one
could
else.
argue he's a bust at tier 1, bro. He's had a lot of bad tournaments.
Correct. Yeah. Right. So we're gonna argue that Hooksy deserves to be fired because of the bad T sides, and it's like, but we're not going to talk about cutting anyone else from the roster.
No, exactly.
Just the coach and just Hooksy.
Yeah.
It looks like there could have been, I don't want to say mutiny, might be a bit dramatic, but I mean, I don't know if people picked up on it. There were a number of times during the tournament where Hooksy, and he's like this, by the way, as an IGL, he will read players the riot act. In the middle of a game, he will say, you need to fucking listen to what I'm saying and do what I fucking want you to do. That is how we win the game. Listen to me, right? And players, obviously, some players can catch feelings and they don't like that. Hooksy's IGL is generally more stick-oriented than carrot-oriented. And unfortunately, some players can't handle that. They don't like that. And it's not a way to get the best out of them. And unfortunately, I think that manifested in a really bad way at this tournament. And so probably he's been ousted. I don't know if he has. Hopefully they can reconcile. I agree. I think moving away from Hooksy without a serious thought process about what a long-term replacement would look like is a bad idea. And I'll also add this. I don't know if there was like a little weird thing that happened, because on the last day, or rather on the penultimate day, like, Astralis had to beat Payne, obviously, and didn't, and lost. But the day before, they'd had like a pretty big drama that once again just got just thrown away, right? And this was Hooksy had been like, he was like trying to psych out the Tyloo guys and was like shouting at them when they were winning rounds. And the Chinese fans picked up on this, and anyone who knows anything, if the Chinese fans feel disrespected on any level, like they've seen a Tibetan flag in a video game or whatever it might be, they will make that known. And unfortunately, Hooksy caught some, he posted some of the messages, can't repeat them on this broadcast.
If anyone knows, most famously, I would say Turkish fans are in a similar boat. If you know the kind of message they send, they don't say, you suck, you're wrong, you're here. They basically say things like, I would kill you, I would sexually assault you, your mother will die. It was straight to the 0 to 100, 0 to 100, every single comment, it felt like.
Yeah, and obviously...
outrageous. Oh, and by the way, they were even saying horrible shit, literally, about like a famous public tragedy he had. It was outrageous.
Yeah, I was going to say, Hooksy went through a very public bereavement. Because it happened while he was at an event. And like the baller that he finished that event and won the event.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like, it's one of the insane stories. And because all of that happened quite publicly, obviously people were saying, I hope you die like your dad didn't. So it's just,
basically.
it's just fucking really horrible.
Basically about as unconscionable a thing you could send to someone on the internet.
And look, he then had to do the thing you always have to do to appease the Chinese fans. You have to come out. He took a photo of him with Tyloo, like, guys, it's all in the game, right? And I just think the distraction of that when you're in IGL and being probably pretty shook and having those negative emotional feelings going into a must-win best of 3, and the next day, I totally give Hooksy a pass. I would totally give him a pass. That is like a very unique emotional situation. It probably dredged up a lot of feelings. If you cut Hooksy when all of that is going on, when he's the guy who's essentially led you back to the majors.
Absolutely.
You know, I wouldn't fuck with that at all. I hope Astralis changed their mind.
I would just bring up, I think that covers Astralis pretty well. I would say it doesn't help that when you're actually one of the players that as soon as you do an exit interview, ESL on their cards just decide to show all the failures you've had as an individual in your career. I thought that those almost diminished how kind of unexpected some of the losses were for some of the teams. I mean, they would always show that you've played 10 IEMs.
I'll add to this, Maui. Here's the weird thing about what they did there. This is where also ESL's got the tone wrong. Which is it, right? Remember, 10 years ago, they hated Thorin's style till I started working with them. They wanted their majors to be all clean, and you couldn't say a swear word on the broadcast, James Bardolph, and don't ever make any inappropriate jokes, and Thorin's a brand. Now they want to simultaneously be, we're the best event, we're all professional, but also we're memesters, and we're on some Oni Pixel / Twitter abuse thing. So basically, what Maui's pointing out here, I think is incredibly unprofessional, which is they used, Monty, the actual cards that was trivia about players at the tournament. The second you got eliminated, they used it on a meme angle where I'll give you an example, right? Elige is an IEM Cologne champion. He was the winner of ESL 1 Cologne 2019 and a Grand Slam winner within their circuit. His graphic didn't say any of that. It just said how many majors he'd been to and been eliminated at. Like, why are you using
it showed that he had the most
people?
Group stage exits in all IEM history.
But that's all it said. It
Like,
didn't say any of the other things he's done. So it was like you're using trivia to make them look like retards because they've lost the tournament. Like, I thought that was such a weird angle.
I don't
look,
hate it.
I
Sorry,
will say
buddy,
if it's a planned segment where you're like on the desk where you're like, okay, we need to talk about, you know, this kind of
this
history.
Is why they're
that
interviewing him on
happened.
screen.
Yeah. But no, but was it pre-planned? Like, I didn't see this. So was it pre-planned?
So
100%.
they would just, I mean, they did this for practically every loser that they would show how many group stage exits they have, how many, they would barely ever even touch on their accolades, and they would basically just show maybe like when they joined the team, the fact that they exited every single time in the group stage that they've played at these kinds of events. It would show that they haven't made it to major playoffs, instead of just highlighting some of the aspects that are positive about them. I mean, I have one in front of me where it's Krisen from Heroic, which was a surprise exit. Like Heroic looked like they were on track to make it through the stage that they joined the major in at stage 1. And then they just kind of talk about the fact that it's a second major, never made playoffs. Second IEM, never made playoffs. And it's just I'm just thinking, why would I want to even dive further into this player who instead it's like, oh man, like Heroic was a surprise. Like they should have probably made it to stage 2. I think they were probably, no joke, on 90+% of pick'ems that I looked at for pundits and personalities.
For sure, mate.
They were definitely on an upward trajectory. Show that they've risen in their HLTV ranking, or where they came in as a VRS favorite, or even literally pick'em data from your panel, that because everybody had it probably that was working that event on their, like, anything that could be just construed as positive instead of just kind of showing failures, especially for rookies. I mean, I think that's one of the craziest aspects. Like, why are we showing that a major rookie has never made it to the playoffs? Like, no shit, he hasn't made it to the playoffs. Like, that's the exception, is the guy that makes it to the playoffs.
And again, you're the same ESL that doesn't allow people to make fun of evil geniuses being objectively bad. You're not allowed to make fun of Falcons and the fact that they've done all these risible things. But then you can use an actual graphic card to just essentially only highlight what's shit about the player. What is that?
I mean, put it this way.
You do realize, by the way, you can do that about anyone. Like, I think LeBron James has like the most, like, you know, missed shots or whatever, because he took the most shots ever. Like, he also has like the most. Messi will have the most missed penalties. He's had the most penalties. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? You can make anyone look shit if you want to, mate.
I mean, but I'll say this. Like, obviously, I always say when I'm running a desk, like, don't shy away from the edge and don't shy away from being critical. Don't, even if it is obscene, even if it's so ridiculous to be critical in that moment, because at the end of the day, the desk is meant to be an additional entertainment product to the show. The desk is meant to be entertaining in and of itself. And people don't like X's and O's on a board, no matter how much they fucking tell you they do. They don't care. So there's karrigan's about to invade the episode, by the way. So they don't want X's and O's. They want to listen to what you think. And so if you've got an unbelievable hot take, like, just go with it. Who gives a fuck at the end of the day? But what I will say is that there's something about bringing up like you said, the almost mimetic.
I'll tell you how I'll
quality.
explain it, Richard. Here's how I can explain it, because I agree with you. Obviously, I think you should be allowed hot takes. You know why you're allowed hot takes, Richard? Because the person's face who said the hot take is there with their motherfucking name.
Yep.
And if someone wants to hate on Maui, they know Maui said it. I hate when fucking TOs and production people, whose name will never be on screen and you will never be abused for saying it, hide behind that and then do memes as if they
That's
were me.
valid. That's a valid
You don't get to
opinion.
do that. Like, it's why when people say, how can you say it? Because I do it with my fucking given name on the internet. You know who said it. You know who said it forever, by the way. And I will actually take all the hate from that. The pro player won't even know who made that graphic.
Yeah.
By the way, for all we even know, this is a pure speculation. Maybe even a hater of the production made that graphic, but he'll never be accountable for it. That's just ESL did it. So if I like everything else about ESL, it's fine, I guess.
And so for someone like an Elige, I don't hate it. I think Elige is he gets all the plaudits and all the fawning praise when he wins. So I think it's valid to criticize him when he fails, even if it is via the medium of a graphic. But yeah, it's very strange to do it to a rookie, because if anything, we should be highlighting, like, only a handful of players in reality get to play at majors. You know, it's meant to be something special, and doing it for the first time, there should be some leeway in the expectations, no matter how good you are. I mean, you know, if you denigrate rookies in general, then we ultimately are creating this strange world where the expectation is every rookie has to be Donk or Ziwu. They have to have these outstanding rookie years, or they're not real players and they're not worth talking about. So I think definitely be careful with that. I would never do it to like a 16-year-old playing at his first major. Here's all the times he fucked up at a Draculan or whatever it is. Like, no one needs that. But I think for players like Elige and stuff, I think, listen, you ride the lightning on that one. You're a tenured pro, you know. So I'm kind of in the middle on both your points on that.
I guess we could also even bring up then, this is something from, I think it happened in stage 3, but then the graphic also that just is like just factually incorrect stuff too. Like one we're memeing, and then 2 we're also just getting things objectively
Again, I'm
wrong.
sympathetic, and I'll tell you why. Obviously, having done this for as long as I have, and as a host, I always try and get as hands-on as is appropriate, which isn't to tell people how to do their jobs, but it is to, you know, since I've come back to work with PGL, I have a very good relationship with the production. I know the people that make the graphics. I know the people that do the titles and the stingers. I know the people that make our clips when we request them. And obviously I know the producer and everything else. And I want to understand what's realistic under time constraints, because when you work a sports production, like when we were at E-League, we had 3 directors directing the show, different aspects of it. When we were at E-League, we had an entire social media team, not a media guy, a media team. And if we wanted a meme, like Duncan was talking about, you know, like we want to put Duncan in fucking stockings and all that, there's a guy to go make it. If we want to like do something a bit more, you know, detailed, there's 3 or 4 people that can work on one aspect of a segment. Most people don't have that, and no one in esports currently has that. And in reality, these people that make the graphics, they are getting absolutely fucking slammed. I mean, slammed with requests from us, slammed from requests from the business, because they do all the media day graphics. Like, it is crazy. And so if people are using AI, I don't know. It could have been.
I imagine that has to be it. I just
if people don't know, there was a really egregious one with there as well, which is, if people don't know, right, this is so bad that even the built-in Google AI will get this right if you ask it the question. So there was a real thing where on screen they suggested that Gizmy from fucking Monte was the British player to make it the furthest at a major. If people don't know, Messi himself at the previous IEM Major in Rio 2022 made the playoffs as an IGL. It was the British IGL to make it the furthest. Also, it was just wrong, because I believe there was 2 other IGLs and
Alex from Vitality.
And Thomas from Into the British.
And Thomas.
It was literally not only 100% factually wrong, but even a Google search would have shown you the right thing. Now, at this point, who is making that graphic?
Yeah, I mean,
because if it's a human, you're fired, and if it's an AI, you're also fired.
I mean, well, it's probably.
Am I missing something?
No, it's
Fire
probably
Claude.
Because people always tell me, have you not heard this, Richard?
Yeah.
They go, we don't need Thorin. Anyone can look it up. You're not even looking it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
You're
say
not even looking it
this.
up.
Probably what happened is, just knowing about production, the graphics guy might not even have been in esports that long, and maybe isn't even an esports guy, right? Like, it just depends on the business. Most of PGL's guys are all endemic guys. I don't know if the scale of ESL and the nature of the company buyout means they brought some people in. E-League, they weren't esports guys. They got stuff. That they probably got stuff wrong. And there wasn't an AI back then, and so probably because of time constraints, what's happened is some guy who's getting absolutely fucking shredded because he's having to make these graphics on the fly, depending on who wins and who loses. He's probably like gone to an AI. Because what's interesting about the example Duncan's using here is you have to conceptualize that example first. You have to ask yourself a question: is this UK player the player that's got the furthest? Oh, that's a good bit of trivia. That would be good. And then you have to go and fact check it. But if you're on a time constraint, you'll go, what's the chances of a fucked up AI hallucination here? What are the chances? And, you roll the dice, and unfortunately, fucked up AI hallucinations do occur. The worst case scenario where I would fire someone was if somebody said, want me to fact check that, and someone has gone, no, I'm right. That you talk to that guy. But not necessarily the graphics dude. I mean,
I just don't know why you're putting any fact out there that hasn't been checked.
Yeah, no, I
mean, we are journalists.
Also,
Richard. We would destroy the BBC.
I wouldn't do it.
But the problem is, this also actually, this to me threw Ash under the bus pretty early on. I think in stage 1 or 2, I took the screenshot.
Or something?
Well, I took the screenshot of the actual segment on the screen, and it said like Ash's 10 best players in stage. I think it was stage 2, and then I looked and I was like, wow, and it even had a pedestal. It had a gold medal for one guy at number 1.
And it had an order, 1 to
2.
10 as well. It had an order, which is obviously everyone's going to
ordered and everything. Yep. And then I posted and I say, wow, this is kind of crazy that Ash doesn't include, I forgot who it was, Insani or something like that, even in his top 10. It wasn't Insani, but just bear with me on this.
Yeah,
and
some
then,
famous
and then,
player, yes.
And then it was like it was obviously a top player that he had like way lower in the list. But then Ash himself replies on it. And it's like, I mean, when this all happens, I almost just feel bad because it's like, if a graphic sells me that hard, like, I'm gonna just get eaten up alive. It always happens. If anything is wrong on the screen, like, I've been eaten up before. But that's why if I have a graphic that I am like particularly working on with Blaster, with PGL, or whoever I'm working with, I like vet all the graphics. I like ask for the graphics. I look at the graphics. Pretty much nothing, unless it's like the
Someone
most basic.
Someone might even use a graphic like that against you years later as well.
Yeah.
If they search it. I can have
and it just I look at all of them, but then ESL just said they put this title and this listing of players, and then he had to go on Twitter and say basically that wasn't even what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be 10 players to look out for in a non-ordered list.
Pimp got one as well, I think, which is like really bad because I think it was when he was doing that pseudo hosting role that they used for him in the early stages, and it was the matches were wrong, and he was like literally just said, because you might read off the graphic, and later today we've got this game, and I think the game it was what would have happened had another set of results occurred. It was like so clearly it had been made in advance and then not corrected overnight or something. So I'll just say this though, again, it all comes back to the point I made in the opening. Why is ESL the only TO that there's no Reddit threads ever made about this stuff, or any HLTV threads about this stuff? And it's like, it's hilarious when it's Blast, or hilarious when it's PGL. It never seems to make it to the front page.
Also, why is it funny for everyone? Because everyone on Reddit hates Falcons too. Why is it funny when Falcons fail when they spend money, but then not when ESL fails? Same gag. Saudi's failing. What's the deal? What are we doing?
So I mean, jumping ahead. I think we'll. We've got
I have one. Okay, if we go to stage 3, I have one other tinfoil conspiracy. We haven't really talked about, what actually.
Are we jumping ahead to stage 3 then? Is there anything else in stage 2 that we want to talk about? Any other? Just to wrap it up.
There's teams that I liked in stage 2. If I want to be positive here, actually, I think that even though Gizmy got a completely incorrect graphic about him to celebrate his achievement, which wasn't really individual, I think that I think that he is the next up IGL. I actually think that his mid-rounding is absolutely superb. I actually think that he is also completely capable of holding his mouse. If he needs to get a couple crucial kills, he's going to deliver on that on a regular basis. I think that it is actually such a testament to his in-game leading that you look at the 4 guys that he's with, and he, I've been incredibly, I praise him, but I also keep it real. Like, I think his teammates are not going to be going anywhere. I think the only guy that, that has a chance maybe is that Azul was really bad coming into the tournament. He looked actually weirdly very good at the major itself. And I don't know. I just don't know, because he's new enough in the space that there's a chance that, given that he's young, given that he doesn't have a lot of tier 1 experience, you might get something out of this guy in the future. There's been a little bit of a redemption arc for the other guys on the team, but in reality, I'm not sure if they're really top 10 team material, where Gizmy, I would actually easily go out on a limb and say this guy will be competing on a top 10 team within a year's time.
I mean,
unless he's
the hype around him's already, it's a critical mass. He's almost certainly going to lead Monte. He's already been put in the frame for a couple of teams. So, I mean, keep in mind as well, one of the reasons why Falcons winning the major seemed completely inconceivable was because when they played Monte, that was a close game. That was, an unbelievably close game. Monte not only took a map, but Falcons won the decider 13-10. There were some key moments in that. And so for Gizmy to have called such a great game against the eventual trophy winners, his stocks are very high. And I know you're not like just doing this because you were raving about him in Astana as well, and Monte were bad.
I thought Monte would beat G2 in the Astana decider game and make it to the playoffs, but then they lost there. So they were close there to having another, I'd say, deep tournament run that exceeds expectations. And yeah, most of that to me is off the back of what he's doing, because I don't see another tier 2 in-game leader who can pause around and call the actual best thing to do. I'm looking at the radar. I know exactly what the best thing to do is, but he's moving the pieces around in that kind of way. And it actually looks like this guy, his mental map of where opponents are is extremely strong, while he usually is able to put up a totally respectable, 0.99 rating or even 1.02 rating is as an in-game leader. So yeah, it's not just one of those Hunden always actually had the mental map, not because of the coaching bug that he abused, but legitimately he could mid-round very well, but he just had no hands. Gizmy has hands.
Yeah, Gizmy has hands.
You might not care if anybody saw you watching the CS Major this past weekend, but you may care if your ISP knew exactly what kind of pornography you guys were watching, because incognito mode doesn't make you incognito. And a lot of your activities are still, even in an incognito window, are 100% visible to third parties, unless you use, of course, ExpressVPN. ISPs will log that data. Maybe they're selling it, and you're certainly not invisible, but ExpressVPN can help you achieve the stealth browsing of your dreams. Not only that, but it protects you, provides security on public Wi-Fi networks, which probably a lot of us are using more and more these days. I know I did while I was traveling internationally back to the States, and I always had ExpressVPN on my phone because it's so damn easy to use. You just open the app, hit the one button, and then it runs seamlessly in the background. Haven't noticed a lick of difference in terms of speed. It's also at its lowest price ever right now. Plans start at just $3.49 a month. That's only 12 cents a day. Plus, if you watch movies with us, with me, Thorin, and Richard on our channel, the LFN Movies channel, and our show Foreplay, you'll know that you're often paying for streaming services where movies you may want to watch along with us are part of Netflix, say, in a different country. You're already paying for the subscription. Why not use ExpressVPN to just go ahead, change your location, and watch it on the subscription that you're already paying for? So many, many uses, especially for the low cost of ExpressVPN. I use it all the time. So secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/horsemen. That's plural, HORSEMEN. That's ExpressVPN, EXPRESSVPN.com/horsemen to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months. expressvpn.com/horsemen. And thank you very much to ExpressVPN for continuing to sponsor us here on our show.
Okay, stage 3. Duncan, you got a point?
I mean, the main one for me on this one is I think you have to immediately look at the obvious failure of NAVI. Like, if you'd have come into this tournament, look, I even tried to soft sell people on, like, they're probably not going to win the major because the problem with Navi is they don't have, like, the superstar name. They don't have, like, a crazy firepower project. A lot of people give the credit to Blade for constructing the team and how they call the team and the system and all. But I'll tell you what, they should have been a lock to at least make the playoffs, though. You think about how consistent Navi normally is. Normally, you can only beat Navi if you're an elite team that's playing world-class CS and you have your stars popping off. And like I say, that's when the contrast becomes obvious. If instead you look at the tournament, right? Okay, it's not the end of the world to lose to Spirit. They were on some demon time at that point in time. The Falcons one already actually isn't that forgivable because people will forget this. When Falcons allowed the map to go to Anubis as the decider, that was the first time they played the Anubis. They only later picked it because they used it as a punishment. This was a gamble from them. And if you don't know, Anubis was the map that recently Navi was using to almost beat Vitality. Like, they definitely put in hours on that. So I think already the Falcons won. You probably should win that game. Then actually the G2 decider, I know now people are going to say G2 was good because they could have won that match against Spirit and gone to the semi. I think G2 was a paper fucking tiger, mate. Like, that team just lives off being G2. And in fact, a lot of those names aren't as good as the name value. So I thought G2 was eminently beaten.
It's just heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, he has to constantly carry. Like, unironically, some of those games, yes, just get 2 kills around and they just lose the fucking game.
And that Navi game in particular, Duncan, was G2 won so many impossible rounds. It reminded me of the Makaleli Jacob collusion 2015, where it was like they were rounds would fall apart in the mid round, but then someone would just do an unthinkable clutch. Like it was I don't know how you win games like that when that's happening, but I guess you do have to take the blame. But Navi should have beat G2 100%.
No, because my problem is, even though on paper they got the worst draw, they got all teams that were top 12 ranked teams. At the same time, to back lose to Falcons and G2, that is a really big disappointing moment. It's why actually I'm not surprised there's now rumors that they might just do a roster move because they already had a hard time getting past Vitality anyway. And so I sadly, the reason why this is actually quite unique is actually Navi as a team under Blade have been the opposite. Sometimes it's in the season they might have a downturn, but they always pick it up for the major and they always get going again at the major. This time around, this was just a dud, mate. I have to say this would be like a fucking C- or a D performance. Like, this was not what all I expected. I think because everyone was so riding the hype of the Falcons train and people like 90 being on, I think actually people were fairly quiet about Navi just bowing out of the tournament. Like, I thought they should at least have been in the playoffs.
I thought the pundit class, you guys with the podcasts, I thought you guys were talking Navi a little bit too much for me. I think like they still have these unbelievable glaring problems on the roster. One of them being Imma. Shout out to my boy Vondas, which I saw you guys were also pointing him out on Snake and Banter. He made a video of Imma where it's like, you can just see how utterly worthless, how utterly worthless he is to the roster in terms of the kills he's getting, where it's quite literally the only type of kill Imma gets. And people are going to say, no, this can't be real, Richard. Go look at the video. The only type of kill he gets is either the ones where they're shooting at somebody else or they're fully blind. Heads up duels, he barely wins at all. And that if that's your second star rifler, then that's not going to work long term. So and also I will say this, Makazi has emerged as this great young star, definitely all true. He's had some monster performances. Really think it's exciting, big for the program. I know from talking to staff at NAVI, they really love this guy and they're so happy with his development and they really believe he's got a future to get to another level, even from where he's at now. But I think it's feast or famine. I think he is not, I'm trying to put this kindly, I don't think he's very cerebral. I think he's more instinctive. And I think, funnily enough, that might not work in a Blade system. Blade might not be able to have the type of team he wants because of the players he's got. Now, they would never cut McCarthy in a million years. That's definitely not happening. But Imma's going to go. And then also the elephant in the room, I don't mind talking about this. I'm pretty sure it's public knowledge at this point. Bit has wanted to join Falcons for the last 2 off seasons.
People don't understand how extreme this is. You know, sometimes fans construct friendships that are only like loose ones, right? Bit is so much friends with Monte. He was willing, after a war in his country, when everyone hates you if you ever associate with a Russian player, to take photos with him. Like, that tells me something. And he plays for NAVI, for fuck's sake, the org where they made you take the flag off. So I think, by the way, that isn't it's all nonsense, Richard. Like, it has been implied they want to play together. Yes.
Well, right. So back when they needed an anchor, and it looked like they were gonna, so they tried then, Bit and Navi. Navi have said there's no way, Bit's going nowhere. I think it came out on one of those bullshit accounts now as well, where it was like, the Falcons tried to buy Blade and Bit. They made an offer for them.
They
by
said
the
at
way,
the beginning of the year, yes, I think.
Yeah. True, by the way, right? Like, so confirmed. Whichever scrub runs that account, they're not bullshitting. That's true. And so Bit has felt slighted. Because, I want to play with my friends. I want to play on a world championship.
By the way, one thing I'll just say, Richard, quickly to tag it back, is people don't think about this. That actually maybe does imply that Falcons don't think Zonic runs the project because they were going to replace him. They're going to keep his team and just replace him with someone else who is objectively the best coach. Like, so it's kind of nuts, isn't it?
So I mean,
okay,
Zonic is the dad of the team, basically, which is funny because now they've got karrigan, so now it's like my two dads, but whatever. Don't bring up that sitcom. Crazy. It's a crazy situation. It's very unique. And so I wasn't enamored with the idea of NAVI rocking up to the major, just blasting through stage 3, getting into the playoffs. I think they're a rocky team. I think they've got problems. I don't think Wonderful should be hated on to the degree he is, but let's also be real. He's either in that series against G2, he played a 1.47 on map 1 to a 0.68 on map 2. Like, he is all over the fucking place. And, you throw that together, it's just not a great melange, is it? It's not a great blend. So I'm not a believer. But Navi are going to be better next season. They're going to make some roster moves and they're going to bounce back because this level of failure is unacceptable for someone like Blade. He knows that. He's not going to.
He's very trustworthy with his roster moves. When he finally pulls a trigger, he's almost never been wrong. Yeah,
exactly. I don't know who it's going to be. No. But it could be more than one move.
Well, there's
I
different
could even
aspects.
see him doing that shit again, where it might not be a big name. Everyone wants it to be like Frozen. Listen, if you know what fucking
Frozen is the obvious one.
I could see a world where he does it again with like an academy player type figure, and he just picks the player he thinks is the right one.
It's just the problem you've got now is Frozen just locked in for 2 years. Thinking karrigan was going to be locked in for 2 years, so. Now you're going to have to pay big money to get Frozen out. But the Navi have tried to get Frozen before in the past as well. Sorry, Mal.
I would just say that there's different aspects that led to Navi's downfall here. And I don't think that there was actually the overhype for Navi just came at a time when in the middle of the season when they won ESL Pro League and they definitely looked like they were clearly the second place team. I'm not going to go revisionist history that some other team was always better because none of those teams had proved it. Also, karrigan wasn't on Falcons at the time when Navi started hitting their stride. So Spirit looked like they were in a mess because Magix hadn't figured out how to IGL. They didn't really have the Sotfic touch yet, which seemed to actually change the fortunes of the team. And so a lot of things were brewing for Navi to take that silver place finish in the pecking order of World CS, but they just couldn't maintain it because once Magix and Sotfic worked together and unlocked to near further, once Falcons got their hands on karrigan, then a few too many things worked for the other teams, whereas Navi just kind of kept chugging along. And also, I think that there are definitely, without question, I would say that if I'm to make a move on Navi, it is EMA out. That's just clear. You can't have this sort of mediocre level of individual success when you are set up more than really any player, exception being Makaze. I even think that EMA's set up more frequently than Wonderful on this team. Just watching how this team plays CT sides, like Wonderful is just a kind of a turret so frequently, doesn't get to move as much as you would want him to. And I think that some of that actually, and this tournament too, comes down to Blade. It's a guy that I still have in the running as greatest of all time coach. In fact, I might still hold that position even after Zonic won here with Falcons. But partially this season's failure is on him. That halfway through the season, looking at the stats, they didn't win their map pick more than 50% of the time. That's an absurd failure of a team to have what is supposed to be a top 5 in-game leader in the world, a top 3 coach in the world, depending how you want to rank them, and then you don't win your map pick. Like, I don't care what sort of people you're working with there. That's just, you just shouldn't even be a possibility. That's not something you're going to see with Vitality. It's not something you saw with Falcons throughout this major run. It's just like you're playing on borrowed time if that's how you're going to win games, that you're winning on your opponent's map pick and the decider on a regular basis. So for Makaze, I'm not selling any Makaze stock whatsoever. There's no chance I'm doing that because he had a poor major here. And partially, I would say that's partially down to the vetoes. I don't think that it made sense for Blade to go for an Inferno pick against G2 when your best player is, practically speaking, an ancient merchant. Like, he is the best ancient player in the world, and you didn't go for it. It's kind of like what happened with Hooksy and G2 when they were playing at the Paris major, where they let Vertigo go to the decider when Nico is just horrible on that map. Like,
by the way, I said this to you, I have the same speculation. That gives away to me that I think already maybe the Falcons result was what pushed over the line. I think already that showed like Navi was shook, bro, because I'm with you, Maui. If my best map is ancient and your G2 not even the best team, I don't care that it's your best map. By the way, they'd even been losing it at the same tournament. I'll just play you on the best map and I'll beat you because I'm better. This looked like some, like, we're scared, so let's just both go to a map that's like in the middle for both. Like, what's that? What's that if you're a team that's going to win the major?
It made so little sense for me. It was a thoroughly disappointing decision from them to go for that. But the thing with Navi is that until they actually upgrade the firepower, then they are going to seem like that fluky team. It's not fluky when you have a great tactician on certain wins, when you have a great tactician both in the server as your in-game leader and as your coach. But it is fluky in that it sets up players to exceed what their individual performance would be on any other team. I mean, you throw Ema on Falcons, and they're not, like, he's just gonna suck. He's just not gonna be a great player on that team. You even put I'd say Wonderful is, he's trying to break into that super elite territory for oppers, but for me, he's not quite there. He's a great opper, but he's not elite. So that's the reservations for Navi do come in the form of their players, but I would be willing to actually throw some of the blame this event at Blade.
Yeah. I'll jump on to the next point, and I know Monty's took a back seat on some of the more granular conversations, so he might be able to get in on this one. Team spirit.
I'm here just to facilitate things. We all have the episodes where we're here just to, make things glide along. It's okay.
We're already on for a classic. I can see this is going to go over really well. There's going to be lots of good timestamps from this one. But anyway, now for a segment called How Team Spirit Ruined the Major. Right? Now, like, multiple levels. And it's not really Team Spirit's fault that their fans are morons, evidently. But I mean, let's just start with, right, the jab itch thing. I was ready to put a gun in my fucking mouth.
I got you like the Giga Chan Huxley thing, didn't it? You couldn't handle it, I could tell.
Yeah, no.
Because it was over. It was rammed down your throat every second.
But it's what I mean. It's like, guys, I love a joke. I'm a funny fucking guy. I love banter. We invented the banter desks. We love a joke. We love a joke. But do you know when? It was like, for instance, whenever there is like, there was this phase we went through in 2016 where if anyone was doing like a challenge or there was a meme, everybody had to do their own spin on it until it eventually was like, hey, fellow kids, and it was like a president doing it. Like, like it's fucking, here's Michelle Obama doing the fucking Harlem Shake or whatever. And it's like, and that's what kills the meme. It's gone it's become too, distributed, and now fundamentally uncool people are doing it, right? Now, the jab itch thing, for those who don't know, first of all, I took a little bit of umbrage with it even just being funny anyway, because like the words they used about their coach not being there was Hallie was rushed to hospital.
Yeah, it sounded very serious.
Their exact phrasing. Now it's Team Spirit. They lie all the time, by the way, about everything. There's minor details. They keep this insane air of mystery around their team. So I don't even know. Was he rushed to hospital? Has he been in hospital? Like, how concerned do I need to be? I don't wish Hallie any ill will at all. I'm not even one of the people who hate him as a coach. Obviously, there's a running meme, Monty, where they call him the Hallie ban, right? Because of he's a Counter-Strike terrorist because he's got Donk, this incredible player, and the teams that he's generally coached are so bad that they've barely won anything despite Donk being this phenom talent, right? Now, I'm not even in that camp. I'm not in the Taliban camp. Like, I just want to know, how sick is he? When is he coming back? Is he coming back? Some clear communication about that. I don't need to know what's wrong with him. I just need to know how serious it is, right? But no, so the whole reason there was a stuffed frog there in the first place is making light of something that could be potentially serious. Like, how fucking ridiculous is it that there would have been, like, let's say he was rushed to hospital, and then let's say, God forbid, he died, right? And there's a thread on Reddit on the day he dies. Replace Ali with Jabbage the frog. Like, are we want to risk that, do we? But anyway, so forget that, right? That was just a little Richard Lewis. Like, be careful about the jokes you make,
absolutely,
because they can very often be juxtaposed with horrific things, and it's never nice when it happens. It's never nice if you go, "Oh, what's happened to what's his face? He's dead, is he? Yeah, he just died actually, and I've got bad. You don't want to be that guy, right?" So anyway, there was that. Then every day there was about 10 threads on Reddit about jab.
Yeah.
And it went.
It was the new 6-7, put
yes,
that way.
It was
Another joke driven into the ground instantly.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, right, okay, we're interviewing him on the official broadcast. All right, I get it. Fair enough. Then HLTV give him an official coaching page, which they must delete. Please delete it after the event. This is meant to be the World Championship of Counter-Strike, and we are talking more about a stuffed fucking frog toy than we are about the games. Please. Then days after, please put jab stickers in the game. Jab. Like, oh my God. So first of all, fuck Spirit for that. Fuck you forever. Also, I'm from a time when cartoon frogs were racist. Remember that? Remember that madness we fucking went through? Signs being confiscated at Overwatch events. So there was that. Then their interview
finds a way.
Yeah, Keck always finds a way.
That's a dated reference.
Yeah, no, right. So anyway, you little 4chaner, right? Anyway, so there was that. Then the interviews, they just conform to the standard of an interview. Interview is I ask you a question, you answer it to the best of your ability, rinse and repeat until we fucking finish the interview. This is not complicated. The way Magix does interviews makes me sick to my stomach. Like, you are fucking up the broadcast when you do this, you cunt. I absolutely detest you for doing this. You make the interviewer's job so hard, right? Dinko caught shit one time, right? Dinko was made to interview Magix, right? He was made the interviewer at an event because someone got sick or something. Dinko's a caster, of course, right? Anyway, Magix had just lost the tournament, and Dinko was trying to ask him questions, and he was going, "Well, can you see any positives?" Magix was like, "No." And he said, "Well, you've got another tournament coming around the corner." "I don't care." And he was doing this, right? And then the Reddit thread was, well, Dinko lacks empathy. He was like, while he was trying to be empathetic, I hate Spirit's fan base, and I hate the Spirit that Spirit players do this consistently. Then, on top of this, and this thing that I'll bring you guys in for, my God, are we really pretending Magix did good? Isn't it? Going to be sick. Like, it's actually mentally ill. Like, what are we talking about? Did you watch that G2 game, which everyone is saying is the best series that's ever been played at a major?
They should have lost it.
But we didn't lose it. I don't give a fuck. Right, I watched two teams, right, with shit IGLs. Clearly shit IGLs. How do I know they're shit? I watched a Dust 2 and a Mirage game where the default T-scrap was spread out across the map. See if a CT pushes. They don't push. Right, let's flash execute onto a site and hope Donk gets 2 kills, or the other way around. Let's hope Heavy God gets 2 kills. I watched round after round after round of that. That G2 Spirit game, if you didn't have a dog in the fight, it wasn't. I mean, look, bad Counter-Strike can be exciting. Don't get me wrong. It was close. I think Magix should get a graffiti, by the way. That'll surprise you. Yeah, course, right? Yeah. I absolutely should. They should put a little magic wand there by them shelves or something, right? But anyway, that it was not an objectively good game of Counter-Strike. The Counter-Strike being played was actually quite bad, and people don't recognize that. And all we had to listen to was Magix is a great IGL. He's really coming on leaps and bounds. Like, he's just better at shooting than Chopper.
Here's my problem, though, bro. Here's my problem. Right, I've never said Magix is even close to one of the best IGLs in the world, despite that he's on a team that can make the finals and win the tournament. My problem is this, though. I don't think Chopper was much better. I don't even see what the difference is. That's the big problem your boy Magic says. We can't really tell the difference. It looks like it's the same team without him, so it makes us think, what was
And then
Chopper ever
everyone
doing?
turned around, and the coach that everyone says should be fired for being bad, the Haliban, they all said, oh, Magic's done such a good job without the coach behind him. It's really hard playing them out. Do you know what happened? Do you know what coaches actually do at Valve events? They just say, come on, guys, right, let's chill. Let's all calm
by the way,
down.
you
They get
reminded me of
30
something
seconds
else.
to talk.
You reminded me of something else that was whack about this major, right?
Oh, the lack of emotion for the coaches.
There was a
thing, them getting
moment
warning.
in this.
Yeah.
Someone pointed this out to me. I didn't even pick up on it initially. Do you remember there was a round? I forget which game it was. Might even have been that Vitality one. There was a really epic Falcons round where Zonic had to just turn his back on the round. Now, he's not doing that on some noob shit like, I can't look, tell me, did they make it? He's doing it because he knows if he reacts to the most amazing round that might be his whole career is shit or redeemed, he will actually be potentially fined and kicked out of the fucking building. That already happened to the Legacy guy.
It did.
So if you don't know
I was gonna bring up something with the
let's
tinfoil
do it,
hat
though.
here, though. One tinfoil hat issue is that the one coach
It would never happen to Zonic. Yeah.
at a Saudi event that got removed from the event was the coach that just beat Falcons in a BO5 Grand Finals.
Okay.
I'm not saying that he didn't violate some rules, but I'm not saying also that other coaches didn't either.
Here's the problem, though. I've never actually seen so far yet a single implication a coach ever did use a secret code. He inarguably used a non-secret code, someone asking him a question and him giving him a universal sign for yes. So unfortunately on that one, Maui, you've got them banged to rights. They're on fucking camera, mate. Again, I don't want to get too political, but I actually think certain things don't need jury trials. Like when a person just on camera murdered someone, they definitely did it, didn't they? You see it doing them like there, send him straight to prison. Don't give a chance to get.
They're supposed to get a warning first and then taken out.
Yeah, the issue, Maui, is ESL fucked up their own process with that.
Why?
As in they didn't give the warning?
No, as in they gave multiple and repeated warnings.
Oh, there you go. Well, sadly, that in itself is part of the problem with this ruling, isn't it? Is no one actually wants to have to kick any coaches out. By the way, here's the biggest problem with it. Nobody except Valve agrees with this fucking rule. Nobody. No pro player. No. I've never heard a single person in the scene say, 1, we needed that. 2, I thought coaches were secretly cheating. And 3, good, I'm glad they've banned coaches from having a human reaction to something
I
they
know.
are
It's
seeing
also
in
just,
the game.
you can tell that Valve would be the only one who wants to do this too, because like it makes better entertainment if they actually have reactions.
Of course.
Like, I'm pretty sure ESL and Blast and PGL are not like psyched that, this is a rule that exists.
And
ridiculous.
I genuinely think it's an anti-human rule. How can I be in the building watching the game where my own family's fate is hanging in the balance, and then when something happens, like I've always said this point, right? One of the reasons I know that Phil Jackson was the Zen master is he would watch Michael Jordan hit the most insane game winner, but like that the game hasn't ended and the other team still has 2 seconds, and he would have to just go, right, we're going to call it this EXO. And I used to go, how does he do it, mate? How do you not give anything there? But that's because Phil Jackson was the ultimate outlier. Any human would do this, bro. It's why, when they go in basket, there's still 2 seconds left. Why are you celebrating? Because we just shot the fucking ball and maybe won the game, you dickhead. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 seconds, but it's just a human reaction. So and especially, by the way, let's go one further. Maybe people like Zonic could train themselves not to react. How is a rookie coach at a first tournament not going to react when on camera they saw an incredible clutch or they lost in massive? I actually think it's an anti-human rule. Like genuinely, I think it is asking people to do something you, by definition, cannot do. And in my opinion, it is cruel and unusual. You should only do it either you're not allowed a coach, which is clearly, sadly, what Valve wants, or put them in another room like Valorant. Have them just only talk over a mic to the team in a voice comm and allow them to be like in League of Legends. In League of Legends, the coach, admittedly, he can't talk to the team except the LCK this year, but whatever. In theory, what you do in League of Legends is after the draft, they're sat in a back room, so you can show the reaction. You can show them leafing up when their team wins. You can show them, oh, we lost the Baron. You want those reactions. Those are part of the tournament.
Yeah, correct.
Well, here, the closest comparison is actually Overwatch League, because what we did in Overwatch League was we had the coaches in the back room, but they could still cut in and talk to the players, during timeouts and stuff like that.
That's
and
what
honestly,
they should just do. They should just do that. Like, 100%.
Because remember, it's only for this tournament. We don't do it in the rest of the circuits. We're even training people not to be able to do it right at the major. It's crazy.
I think the problem is that introduces a lot more tech. Like it's expensive to do it that way, as opposed to just putting them on the same circuit, on the same circuit that the team is on stage. But I mean, if major, it can cost more money. And it does, by the way, still make for good content. Like you say, the Overwatch solution split the difference between the League of Legends, where you just get the reactions, and the Counter-Strike, where you get the comms and you can cut in and like you get the more, dynamic interaction with the team. And it worked really well.
Yeah. Maui, you were going to say something?
I mean, they should obviously be away because, or else you might have a Tazit incident where a guy literally just points at a strat on a strat book and doesn't even have to use a timeout.
Cheating? Yeah, absolutely. Arguably cheating, yeah.
Just objectively cheating, by the way. But
Yep.
No, that was kind of my bit on there. That was just it's a conspiracy theory that I'm not saying justice for the legacy coach, obviously.
By the way, here's the reason why what you said is valid, though, Maui. That's why you don't allow conflicts of interest, because people might go, "Hey, maybe there's a conflict of interest there." Like they opened themselves.
I didn't see where the warnings were. I didn't see why I even had a warning to begin with. You see one of the issues.
They also should be ESL should be doing a better job about issuing public statements about warnings.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the rule as written is you get a warning, you get like a second and final warning, and then you're out. And what had happened is, obviously, if you don't stick to a framework of rules, you essentially imply to people these are malleable in some way. Sure. And obviously, look, the coach, passionate guy, fucking he was showing emotion at times. He got a bunch of warnings, and then in the end, they just said, "Right, you've got to go for that."
I agree with Thorin.
And he's fucking Brazilian, bro. You're telling a Brazilian don't react emotionally to life. Fucking hell! What? It's also disabled people that won't run under meters.
I think you're right, Thorin, because people may think, because they're not involved in the scene or whatever, that it's, as a fan, it's easy just to be like, okay, I'm not going to react to this no matter what. When you have spent thousands of hours training with your team, and like you are so emotionally invested in this moment, and this big thing happens, and maybe you get an upset, or it is not going too far to say that this might legitimately be the high point of these people's lives, and you're telling them they can't react. How is that even possible? How is that? It's so absurd.
So, next thing from stage 3, and this will bring us. We're laser focusing towards the denouement of the show. Falcons, the winners, the most legit playoff run ever in a major? ?
I mean, I think so, not least because what does everyone always put up against it as the obvious one? What they do is, because they're North Americans, they say Cloud9, and then they intentionally don't add any of the context for any of the results. So I'll give you an example. Cloud9 won, they go, well, what about they beat G2, and then they beat SK, and then they beat FaZe, right? So first of all, G2 at that point in time was a paper tiger who hadn't won a playoff series in months and months at that time. And then intentionally, this is real, actually actively fucked their own veto up, and this is real, because within the French team, there was an insane French piece of superstition that says if you've beaten a team on a map early in the tournament, you don't play it again later. So as in, oh no, we win that one, so don't play that one again. By the way, the idea an NA team, IGL'd by Tarek, was going to anti-strat you, there's a close better chance he'd create a calculus on the side, you dickhead. Zero chance. Then that was G2 out the way. Then in the semi-finals, you played SK Gaming, the #1 team in the world, except the problem is they weren't using their real roster. They had months earlier brought Bolts in instead of Phelps, but they had to play at the major with Phelps because how eligibility used to work back then. And they even said before that major, we won't be practicing with Bolts. We're still going to no, the other way around. We won't practice with Phelps. We'll still practice with Bolts because we don't even basically care about this major. So then they were able to beat that one. Then yes, in the final they beat FaZe, which was epic. And even then, by the way, they were actually down to championship points. So actually, on paper, that might look excellent. The context takes a lot of the shit out of that. Now, true, Spirit didn't have their coach. There's one for you. But the Vitality result is completely legitimate. The Fury result is completely legitimate. Those were teams that were ranked. Vitality was #1. Spirit was #3, I think. And then Fury was #5. So I think on paper, it is the best run ever, personally.
Yes. I think... sorry, Mary.
Well, if you're going to... I would just throw it in there that I feel like you can poke holes in this Falcons run in a similar way. That the Spirit lacking of a coach is obviously something
There's one.
Yeah, that's one of them. you also have a Vitality team that was burnt out. They didn't practice.
Nah,
they lost
fuck
them.
off.
They lost a map to Foot with their
Nah.
coach recently enough because they were just not. They didn't even. That was before they even took time off too. They took time off. They took time off.
So they ever lost, Maui. Well, fuck me. You've done me there on that one. They didn't have a 100% win rate.
Neither did that G2 going into that one.
Excuse me. No. They had a 0% win rate in the playoffs. Did you hear what I just said? So you've gone from 0% win rate to, listen to one of the ones you just said. You said they lost a map. Not even in a series they lost. You're not even
They
allowed
lost
to
to a
lose map,
Navi team
however.
that they lost to a Navi team in the quarterfinals.
The number 2 team in the world. The number 2
who,
team in the world.
after not practicing because they weren't practicing.
Did they practice for this major?
Yes, of course they
By the
did.
way,
So
don't
did
ever go into law, bro. You would get destroyed, mate. You couldn't even be a public defender. Well, you could because they'd all go to prison. So don't ever do it.
Fury,
mate. Don't ever be a lawyer.
Furia think that the team is going to break up too.
Well, okay. So now we're going off what they're thinking in their head. I went off reality and actual, real, tangible things there, bro.
I put it this way: I don't necessarily. I don't even think the Spirit coaching one is that big a deal by that point. Like, that's not why they lost. It wasn't like, they lost
in a close game that goes to overtime that has like all the rounds that a coach doesn't matter. How's that even? Of course it matters. Of course, not having a coach matters.
I think Donk having a bad series, man.
And what would help? What would help Donk be able to actually get himself out of those moments? A coach.
I think the Spirit one's fine. You can make that case. You can make that one.
But that's never mattered. That hadn't mattered at any other point in this tournament.
They just said at Astana it did matter. Sotfik did help them.
No.
They just spoke at length about how much it helped them.
Don't get angry with me because you're really angry with Duncan. You're shouting.
You can't listen.
You're
he's
shouting
just
at
learned
mummy.
the hard way, Richard.
You're shouting at mummy when it's daddy you're mad at, right? So
what he doesn't know that he's just had to learn the hard ways. He doesn't know that actually when I host my own podcast, I'm really polite to people. Actually, I might jokingly rib them. I never take the gloves off. But you know what, mate? I gave you a little taste of what it's like when the gauntlet gets thrown down. So. Let's go back on side.
Right. So anyway, right? I'm saying that in the context of this tournament, as it pertains to Donk's performance, the coach didn't matter.
It wasn't bigger than Donk underperformed. Donk had a 0.97 rating in the series. Yeah, absolutely. Donk does normal. I think they win that match anyway, mate. I don't think it would even matter.
So I'll say that. But
in fact, if anything, Richard, you should be glad that happened because you know what? I think actually, if they win that game, Jabic gets to be a major winning coach.
I know.
Worse for you,
no. But here's the thing. The way I feel about Spirit, had it been Spirit Falcons in the final, I really don't know which way I would have gone.
Spirit Furia.
No, but I mean, had there been a world where it could have been Spirit.
You want to lose more, right? I see what you mean.
Yeah, because that was the problem.
Okay.
Falcons played Spirit at the wrong time. If it had been the final, then that would have been really tough for me. But anyway, in terms of
that day though, or the day previously, I saw so many people saying that the Falcons Vitality Spirit G2 matches was like one of the best days of CS competition in history.
It was
epic.
It was certainly very close matches and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, you got close games. Yeah. I just feel like a lot of the recency bias is a motherfucker with CS.
Sure,
fans.
definitely.
And so this is being touted as if all of these were like every playoff game was a classic, and it's just not true. And as I said, the G2 Spirit one was actually anyone.
I actually
saying
thought that was overblown. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone saying that is there's like it's an incredible tactical battle, great Counter-Strike being played. You didn't watch it. Like
I actually think both teams played bad in that, mate. That's why it was close.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but anyway, in terms of this being the most legit run ever, right? It doesn't look great until they're in the playoffs, essentially, and then obviously they you beat NAVI.
The margin of victory is very low. It's very low. Yeah,
but I mean, I don't even care about that. I think actually at the highest level, 2-1 should be the score. Like, it should never really be a 2-0. If you're not capable of winning your map, like, you've got to go back and work on your map, right? I get a pick. You get a pick. We have a handshake map. The handshake map is what it's about. Like that to me. And Falcons won them all. And so, and obviously as well, let's be clear. They took on a Furia team, which they had the easier side of the bracket. We'll probably talk about that in a moment. But they took on a Furia team that they got to fucking play their map pick first. They got absolutely bodied on Mirage. Then Falcons, by the way, Falcons is still feeling out Anubis. I wouldn't call them like an Anubis team. So there is
That was
definitely
a gamble.
Yeah, exactly. And then you lose that, you get bodied on that, and then on Inferno, that's your pick again.
Yep.
Falcons notoriously get wrecked on Inferno.
Yep.
It's a punish pick every veto if you can get it, and they bodied
It's
you
the map
again.
that famously Kiyosuke has had really bad stats on the whole time he's been
So
in the team.
for me, with the context, because we're doing a context thing, I actually think the Falcons win is the most legit of all time. I always thought Cloud9 was like, yeah, that's some fairy tale shit.
Yeah.
This
It's a movie, is Cloud9's. Yeah,
this isn't fairy tale. This is a team like leveling up as the tournament goes on because they've got the greatest IGL of all time, and he's activating all the incredible superstars around him that his previous IGL couldn't activate, and that's what happened. And so, yeah, unfortunately, it is for me, Maui, the most legit run of all time.
I think you've done a great job of framing it there. I think what people mean is it's the most epic run ever. Right? Because here's the thing. I'll tell you, shall I do the real Thorin historian thing?
Yeah.
The best run ever is really boring. Because are you ready? The best run ever is Astralis at Face at London 2018. So in the quarterfinals, they played FaZe Clan, who'd been one of the dominant forces, still had karrigan and Nico, and that's what they could have been the IGL at that tournament. They beat them 2-0. In the semis, they played Liquid, their number 2 team in the world, main rival, 2-0 them. And in the final, they played NAVI, who'd just beaten them at ESL Cologne and was like the 3rd best team in the world, and they beat them. Now, the reason that's boring is that's a mega legit run of teams. Those are all top 4 teams, but you 2-0'd them all.
Yeah.
And you made them all look like stupid idiots. So
it's just because Astralis were on another level.
So the problem here is because they also were themselves number 1 and probably the greatest ever, it just makes the run not as epic and exciting. Like, by the way, I wouldn't recommend you go back and watch those games. Some of them were just Astralis tooling the shit out of everyone else. But the Falcons ones were also like an anime or a movie. It was fucking, the drama was crazy, and the plays and the narratives, and that's what.
I mean, let me ask a different question, because like, obviously when you're talking about the epicness of the run, like, karrigan is brand new to this lineup, right?
Yeah.
And so is that an indictment of the other teams who couldn't get it together while this Falcons team should have still been gelling, right?
Here's the problem with that IGL. Monty. I know what you mean.
Or is it just karrigan is great and this is a demonstration?
No, here's the
greatness?
problem. If this was, if karrigan had only played in one team his whole career and it had never had stand-ins, you could say that, Monty. You could go, how could you all lose to a guy? But karrigan is literally a legend that he has had stand-ins to his teams and won like 5 tournaments or something in his career, bro. And now essentially like he was the stand-in and then won of it. So unfortunately, if there's anyone in history could do it, he is the ultimate outlier in that sense too. So I actually think, if anything, here's what I would actually say is more epic about this run, is that the major was won by a team that I actually think if you'd have interviewed the team at any moment until they beat Vitality, they themselves would have admitted, like the bullshit they said in public, like, this isn't even the tournament we're supposed to win. Like, we're supposed to try and be ready for Singapore. This is still like we're learning. Didn't they keep, what was their mantra? Before it was we had 8 days practice. Now it's he's only been in the team 60 days. They all had all their excuses prepared, boys.
Yeah.
They had the whole framing. So if anything, actually, I think what karrigan showed you here isn't even karrigan peak CS. It's the reason why karrigan, it never phased. It was always karrigan bullshit. Is when karrigan knows he is an underdog, I think he is the best IGL ever at making the game dog shit and super scrappy and chaotic and really stress-filled, because then his worst team, but with good players, can win. I think he doesn't want to, he plays anti-Counter-Strike to some degree. In that sense, I think it was crazy.
And Monty, just to add on to it, right, just in case you didn't pick up on the point, is, right, so they've played Anubis 5 times, right, as a team at this major. Right, like, so, you know, over the, like, however many times that they played all the other maps, they weren't playing Anubis until this event, right? So it's the biggest event in their history. Then they pull out a new map. They didn't lose the map. They played it 5 times and won 5 times at a tournament. That's the karrigan effect.
That just doesn't happen in Counter-Strike.
Yeah,
that's not a thing.
That's the karrigan effect, and this is what I mean. Like, when I say I wouldn't think of them as an Anubis team, that's true at the start of the tournament, but by the end of the tournament, they
might be the best Anubis team.
I mean, that's an amazing storyline, right?
Yeah, of course.
That's why I'm asking the question.
No, but by the way, Monty,
you could use it as a cudgel to devalue the other teams.
No, that's exactly why you can't. Because if I'm the other coach, what was I supposed to study? There is no tape. I even kept saying this in the playoffs. Every round of the playoffs, I kept saying, right, even if I'm the next coach, it's like I now have 2 maps of play to look at. Mate, every other team, you have like 20. You have like over a million. You have all levels of opposite. So if you are the other coaches, I don't know what you're supposed to do. And again, it's not like in these rounds, karrigan from Spawn calls in a godlike strap blade style. No, he's also calling like 12 seconds left to do a rotation to the other side and hit it. Like, that's shit when the other coach can't do anything about that, bro. Even other IGLs, you're at his mercy. Like, if he can pull that off, and by the way, he barely pulled it off, as I think we've stressed in this episode, his own shit play and the fact that he's working with an inexperienced team, and he barely pulled any of these miracles off, and he had to stack like about 4 miracles in a row up until the final.
And did it all while playing a .71.
Yeah.
Personally. Maui, I'll bring you in on
I think
that
this
point.
is the most miraculous run ever, mate.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an indictment of anyone.
Like, have you revised your opinion now about the actual level of performance an IGL can get away with? Or do you think this is so anomalous it's not even worth considering?
It is anomalous.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to see him. I don't think you're going to, I'll double down on it. I don't think you're going to see a .71 rating championship win this year. It's not going to, I don't think it's going to happen.
As in normal
this year.
tournaments as well, yeah?
Yeah. I also think rating 3.0, I don't know how much it devalues a lot of what he does in terms of just like,
True.
Like the raw output though is absurdly low too. So it can't really.
I mean,
you can't
even
really
the eye tests, you can see like they are shit. Like even when he got that triple kill with the USB, it's garbage. He just spamming a USB, like and the guns kills. Even he was almost like, "Holy shit, I got a kill there!" Like, it's actually so bad that like essentially you can tell that even he knows I am trash at this game right now. Like he's not pretending.
He said it in the interview, didn't he? He said I'm playing my worst Counter-Strike. I mean, he is 36. He's now the oldest. Major
By the
winner.
way, that's also why, this is why I don't actually hold it against any of you if you're against it. Like I'm saying, I'm almost on some religious belief of like karrigan could just do miracles, literally. Like, again, he broke his own old record at Apex, like the oldest person ever to win. Like, by the way, that's also absurd that the final was like a 36-year-old versus a 35-year-old. Like, fucking.
I mean, that would have been.
I mean, I would say that's a really good sign for Counter-Strike, though, because the problem with so many other esports is that because of the way that the game is updated, you actually can't have longevity because as players get older and they have more other responsibilities, they're increasingly leaning on, their past within the game. But in a MOBA, for example, like in League of Legends, that they're changing drastically every year, it becomes really difficult for people to lean on their old skills in order to progress within the game, or they're constantly releasing new content. And I think that the eternal nature of CS is good because that means we can have players with more legacy, and players with more legacy means that you have longer time fans and people who are emotionally invested in the game for a lot longer. So I think it's actually a huge positive for CS as a game that you have this scenario play, because it's not like you don't have Monacy in this finals too, right? It's not like you don't have Donk or Rising, these rookie Rising players. You just also have the greats who can stick around for a super long time. I think it's a really positive sign. And that's something that's incredibly unique to CS.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I'll tell you, though, it's still a recent development. Like Duncan and I back in the day, we wouldn't have conceived that there would be like a 36-year-old IGL winning a
but that's what I'm saying. But even the change from, CSGO to CS2 hasn't changed enough to fuck these people up completely.
I agree with that.
Duncan will back me up, but like when Riot changes the jungle every fucking year, it just destroys pro players' careers. Sure. They just made this change to like this fearless draft mode that completely fucked up what they had told pros for years. The main mode of professional play for almost all of League of Legends history was learn these meta champs, have a champ pool of like 5 to 6 champs that are at any given time that you can play super well. Well, Riot decided, well, fuck that. So if you are a player who's really good at mastering these 5 characters at a time, your skill set sucks now. You might as well just be okay or pretty good at 10 champs because now that's more applicable. I mean, it's bullshit.
I'll say Dota doesn't seem to have the same problem. Not that it's relevant to anything here, but I mean, they've got like a bunch of 30-year-olds still competing.
Dota changes less.
Also, Dota doesn't have fearless draft.
Yeah, true. I mean, fair enough. It should. That'd be sick.
But Dota changes significantly less than League of Legends on a year-to-year basis. I mean, League of Legends in 2026 is unrecognizable from League of Legends 10 years ago.
Here's the
Unrecognizable.
downside, though, Monty. You're saying all that, but you have to realise, like, actually, the fans and the general populace don't agree with you. They would all do, like, way worse than Maui's. They would cram every 22-year-old up and coming IGL into all these teams and kick karrigan and have him benched and coach and Falcons. So, unfortunately, even though reality says you're right, a lot of people still want it to be a young man's game.
I mean, I'll say this: the winning the major has definitely changed a lot of narratives in a heartbeat. Narratives that were there even when Falcons were in the grand final.
Yeah.
I mean, even going into the final, people were still like, right, Fallen's a better IGL. He'll call rings around karrigan.
Someone in this call might have thought that.
Did you, Maui?
I obviously didn't pit. No. That's just not true at all. That's just I have to stand up for that. I didn't think Fallen was better. I was rooting for Fallen.
Yeah.
That's very different.
Okay.
That's incredibly different. I
Why'd
wanted
you root
Fallen
for
to.
your players.
Americans like an underdog story.
Okay, all right, yeah, true. Like the World Cup, true.
Yeah. So
like the revolution.
Also true. So
Also.
so there was people that were saying that, like, Fallen was on the trajectory, longevity. Karrigan's too washed, like he's too much baggage to carry. Nico will choke. That was the other one.
Yeah, of course.
Nico's.
I mean, the amount of narratives that had to turn around this file was nuts, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but like, what's fucking crazy is it's it's actually great Nico didn't choke, and it's actually great Nico's got his major, and it's actually karrigan's just proven. And by the way, again, the pundit class, I think every single person who's ever worked a Counter-Strike broadcast had a tweet along the lines of, well, karrigan shows that there's more to being an IGL than age or what you do with a gun. Counter-Strike's a really sophisticated game, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, your timeline was a deluge of insufferability, which I just had to put away to one side.
In some ways, I won the major, Richie. You have to understand.
No, I literally said that as well. I was like, Falcons didn't just win the major. Duncan fucking won the major today, mate. So I'm going offline. Goodbye. Literally went to bed. Fuck it. What a miserable day.
I probably did like 100 tweets as well.
Bro. Like your tweet per minute ratio was actually fucking ridiculous. Like, but anyway, so like everybody all of a sudden loves these things being true, but they were totally rooting against Falcons right up until the moment the blood-stained confetti rained from the fucking sky.
Sure.
And it just, like, I don't know, it's made me really, like, I've come out of this major, like, I'm kind of shook. It's like I'm kind of shook.
karrigan effect.
No. I mean, I'm shook because it's made
you uncomfortable. You don't know what to do you? You can't quite get a read on it.
No, it's not that. It's not like he's giving me a secret chubby or whatever. You know what I mean? No, it's I'm shook because it's making me feel a certain way about Counter-Strike that I haven't felt like before. And it's kind of like the fans are so unbelievably fickle and stupefyingly ill-informed.
I'll tell you what's sad. It's the realization that we aren't special, Richard, because I'm sure you've experienced this.
Okay.
I've followed football Twitter for many years, mate. This World Cup, like, I actually almost should just delete Twitter. Like, it is interminable reading opinions that 1 second later after goal is scored, 180. Before that, someone's a bomb. Afterwards, they're the greatest. Then the next game, they're a bomb again. It's, geez, I can't do this. Like, I call it narrative whiplash. I find it really jarring when they do it too much.
And it's happened a lot.
And they definitely did it in CS, because I'm with you. Everyone did just join. Like, here's the difference. If it was just me doing it, it's fine, because I did ride from day one like a homer. Like I even said on all the shows, this isn't based on analysis. This is based on a feeling about what's what. Everyone else switched at the end. Like, I always thought the same thing. None of you did. What?
I mean,
why did you all just jump on the bandwagon?
Here's the thing. It wouldn't bother me so much because fans are going to be fans. It wouldn't bother me so much, but the people doing it for this team, it's what I said at the start. It's the sinister implication that the sports washing has finally worked. This is what it took for you to forget about what Falcons are. And by the way, it has worked. Everyone's got the Falcons flair, and all of a sudden it was like an anathema to wear that. If you had the Falcons flair on Reddit, on the subreddit, you were one of those dickheads that were in the fucking in the thread replying, yeah, but what about gambling money though? What about gambling though? What about America though?
I'm actually surprised you're shocked by this though. I don't know if I ever said it on a past show.
But I've never seen it at this level before.
No, but here's why I could have told you if Falcons ever win the major. I think I've even done a tweet like that. Like, look, if zonic ever wins the major, you're all going to turn around and say he's the GOAT still. The reason why I was certain of that, Richard, is because of ESL. The cleverest thing the Saudis ever did wasn't even Falcons, mate, or EWC. It was buy ESL, because since ESL makes the best tournaments in Counter-Strike, you had to, the second they bought them, make a decision, right? Which is it? Do I either no longer say these are good tournaments or watch them, or do I just have to instantly break and go, well, shit, they are still the best, and I'm going to watch them? So I feel like ESL, by the way, ESL never on Reddit got the same abuse Falcons did, ever. They didn't. The same people who would go, Nico would sell out piece of shit. I hope he loses with his blood-stained bag. Then they're fine with every talent work in the major. It's like, well, what are we doing here? What, Shocks suddenly? Why does the blood evaporate off the dollars Shocks receives, but not the ones Nico gets? It's the same person.
Yeah. And look,
I don't get it. So again, that's why my problem is this. In for a penny, in for a pound, mate. We have to either be a complete prick to everyone in the scene, or we have to go, well, I mean, shit, that's the price of doing business. So which is it?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we're at the price of doing business stage.
It is. That's what everyone, I feel like, thinks, right?
Yeah, and it's just a shame that something so bad, like bad for the scene,
absolutely
bad on a evil level. You know, like when I say bad globally, it's now just this is the cost of doing business. And actually, not only is it the cost of doing business, it's delivered us the best moment in Counter-Strike history.
Exactly.
So like people literally said, right, I've got some threads up because I'm going to be doing a review of it. Right.
By the way, it's why when Monty says that thing he always says, he's actually, bear in mind we call out the Saudis, he's not in any way being self-serving. Obviously, yes, our company takes gambling sponsors. But when Monty says, if you don't want the Saudis, the gambling sponsor at the moment is the lesser of the two evils. You must embrace that, because you can't just say I'm no to everything, but then also consume it both. Like at the end of the day, I'm with you, Richard. If you're not going to take the gambling money, then we need even more Saudis and more rogue states, and we need it all. They're the only ones going to pick this money.
So
the only ones.
The unbelievable things that were like happening, like on the day that they won, and it was just like there's threads like Nico winning a major is like DiCaprio getting an Oscar. Right.
By the way, that's also a dog shit example.
No,
the Oscars
it's not about that. Well, yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work.
You don't win an Oscar. You are awarded an Oscar, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
they could have given him that at any point in time. You more. By the way, you do know if it was the Oscars, we would already have given Nico a major ages ago. That analogy doesn't even work.
No, it's just diabolical. On the front page, of course. Nico winning Cologne is bigger than Counter-Strike.
Come on. That's about the most hyperbolic statement he could make.
Yeah, I don't mean that.
First of all, it's the game that you had to play to win it. What does that even mean?
Right.
What does that even mean?
Some of these threads are unbelievable. Now, I may have created a fake account and started spamming the subreddit with threads such as Nico bringing back karrigan and winning a major is like Charlton Heston at the end of Planet of the Apes realizing it was Earth all along. Or Nico and karrigan teaming up to win a major is like Omar and Brother Muzod teaming up to kill Stringer Bell, the major trophy in the wire. Okay. Yeah, so I've done because it's
that's a spoiler, of course.
Fuck all y'all if you.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, you should watch it by now. Exactly.
So it was just like, what the fuck are we doing, guys? Like, this is like, it's a cool story, but it's a cool story with some pretty sinister implications. And as I said, why does Nico get to have his own flair? The only player that gets that. Like, what, Device didn't deserve it?
No, I don't get that at all.
Like, Device didn't deserve it. Like, Kenny S didn't deserve it.
Simple,
what about
everyone?
Simple didn't deserve it? Like, are we gonna do it where if Donk gets to like 3 majors? What's the cutoff point? No, this is something we're uniquely doing for the Saudi team. And I hate to say it to everybody, right? If you think this is an exciting and cool story, let me just put it to you in layman's terms as to why it isn't. The team that spent the most money in the shortest period of time and has an unlimited budget compared to everyone else eventually assembled 5 players to win the World Championship, and it's the only major trophy they've won. What's exciting about that? Like, everyone was going, it's like a fairy tale. No, in the fairy tale, Nico would have won it with a shit G2.
But this way, without making it too extreme, I don't want to go too off. This has got 2 Americans here. Even though certainly Pep Guardiola won a lot of trophies at Manchester City, which I respect. It's always been one of the things I actually despised about watching the Premier League, that as a Liverpool fan who was their rival, I had to pretend we're both playing the same game when Liverpool has to sign like good but not great players and hope they become good. And Manchester City used to have like active internationals for top countries on their bench. And again, unlimited money and unlimited loopholes to get money into their team. And at the end, I'm supposed to go, you're just better at football, I guess. But you're not, because you've also got an unlimited cheat code. Like, what are we doing?
So it's like, unfortunately, there was just a bunch of caveats for me,
It
and
definitely sours the event. I'm with you.
but also as well, like, just the weird, sinister shit around it, like the Reddit stuff, the lack of any threads about negatives popping up at this event. Like, right, there was two stages.
So what you said about the invasion's very
Yeah.
weird, mate, because remember how massive that whole thing at
Yeah.
Copenhagen was about how, like, it could be a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
I think, by the way, if people don't even know, Monte and Nico were even on stage for that. And famously, I think, like,
Yeah.
a Monte or someone was, like, scared for his life or some shit, yeah.
If you remember, the final literally stopped because somebody got into the Falcons booth.
Right.
Karrigan typed it out in chat in the game. I was watching
That's
it.
crazy.
And he
Okay.
said,
Yeah.
we need 3
That's
minutes.
crazy.
Someone just came in. So nobody noticed this. Nobody saw
That's
this. Nobody
nuts.
talked
No,
about it.
it's just the way that HLTV even treats these kinds of issues just completely differently. Like, if you even go on Google right now and you type in like Stage Rush Major, the first result is from Copenhagen, obviously a PGL
What the
event.
fuck? Okay.
But because they never, I don't even think they made a true article about it. What they did is they used their HLTV
Right.
shorts section, which is just a lot of small little news issues
Yes.
that they just throw into like one big batch, and it's just like short news week 4 or 24 or whatever it is. But if you actually still search it, was like a full-blown article. It was written by Mira and Drake. I don't know who Drake is, but they had all these details regarding it. And then obviously it's huge news, and people are talking about PGL. Are their events safe? Is it worth it to even go to these kinds of things? Like, there's all these new dramas that emerge, but when it's just at an ESL event, and didn't it happen twice? I thought it actually legitimately. So there was I know there was also there's more crashes that people didn't even acknowledge. Like in the Furia 9Z quarterfinal game, there was a big crash on one of the rounds on
in the
Mirage.
final they had to swap a PC out or something. Was it the final of the semi? There was one where they had to swap a whole PC
I
out.
I think
really
it's 3
early
times.
in
I
that.
think there were crashes on at least 2 quarterfinals, but the famous one was the Heavy God one.
That wasn't even a crash.
That was like a Valve ban thing. That was a different issue entirely. But there was a legitimate crash in the Furia 9Z quarterfinal.
Well, no, you see, what I think what happened in Fury was the same thing that happened to Heavy God. Basically, someone figured out that, like, if you use bots to, like, this is what I saw on Twitter anyway. People were saying they were mass reporting the accounts, and it was triggering community bans. And so Heavy God had a community ban, and that's why we had to sit for 20 minutes to resolve that. Right, which, by the way, might not have made any difference to the game, but breaking up any form of momentum and long breaks certainly impacts the outcome. It's worth talking about. But in the Furia one, it literally happened during a retake. So he like Thanos'd out, and I think it was the same thing. It was a community ban. So we've got stage invasions not being talked about. We've got mass reports triggering community bans not being talked about. Like, why are we not talking about these things when it's ESL events, guys? Like the lack of criticism for that should be conspicuous by its absence,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like, it's just who was it? I'm trying to find who crashed, because you can't even find these things. That's what's crazy about it. We saw it with our own eyes that people crashed in these kinds of moments, but then there aren't even articles about it, because what would normally be published by HLTV, because they're under the same ownership, they just don't even do it. They don't even publish it. They don't even.
Well,
they're
not under the same ownership.
So what is the deal with them having Saudi involvement?
I don't think HLTV doesn't have Saudi involvement. They're run by a company called Better Collective. Their involvement is connected via sponsorship and other business.
Then why aren't they publishing these things? Then why aren't they? Why do they give PGL a completely different treatment than they give ESL? The same issue happened at both. So I'll admit that was incorrect information. But why is this?
One expects
why
a
does this keep happening?
sponsor. I would also suggest that HLTV are probably slightly more sympathetic to ESL, because HLTV have had HLTV confirmed live events are baked in to ESL events historically, so it's sort of a value add for them to be able to sell tickets, do it live. A lot of people always point to the Sponge connection. I don't necessarily buy that whatsoever, but some people have pointed to it. Don't forget, Chad had to go a long time being called an ESL shill when he first started the podcast, which was like really unfair. And so anyway, I think that's the connectivity there. But it is weird that no one's talking about these things. It's weird that no one questioned the declaration that this is just the most watched event now. and we just eked past the previous record. Any context to that? Nah, it doesn't matter. And everyone's like, yay, we did it. And then people are going, hold on, though. If it's core streaming, we all know Twitch has a view button problem. So it has a worse view button problem now in 2026 than it did in
It's the past four Horsemen episode, Devon Nash looking up.
Yeah, in 2019. So if you're relying on the core streaming numbers, how much can they be trusted? Don't worry about that. I saw people on Reddit literally
It's still impressive because the finals was a 3-0 that they managed to break.
Yeah, but it's also BO5, Monty. Like the winner, the last record was a BO3 final.
Here's the thing: if that had gone to 5 maps, the implication here is it would have been 3.2, something insane.
Exactly.
So the problem with that is then it's like, by the way, great if it's true, but I really would like to see the working out on this one because Esports Charts is also partnered with the Esports World Cup.
Everyone in this call knows this. Every TO, they use every kind of dodgy, fudge the numbers, count this. Everyone wants to say their record broke the event. By the way, a classic indictment of our industry is no one can ever go, I've just put on the second greatest tournament ever. Somehow that's like shit. That just shows what a pathetic industry. We always have to be number one. So I know what you mean. I had my questions about that.
But no one else does apparently. So we're just stuck with that. So that's weird to me. And it's like I said, unfortunately, it just feels like everyone around the ESL orbit now, in the Esports World Cup orbit and the ENC orbit, which I'll talk about in just a moment when we wrap up the show. Unfortunately, people are like very quick to, hey, this was all amazing. No one is talking about all the fuck-ups. And then if it's a competitor to ESL, we talk about fuck-ups first. And it's a very weird about turn. I've got a couple of funny things. Because we're getting near the end, probably need a palate cleanser. What the fuck was the concept for this show match, by the way? Germany versus Poland.
I even thought to myself,
it's a historical classic.
Yo, you're not fucking wrong.
There's even two angles. One, not only is there a horrible historical war conflict between them in many different ages, but even worse, I'd even argue my joke here would be like, oh, you mean like original ESL people versus the scabs you brought in to take their jobs? Yeah, that Germany versus Poland. That's what you just did for the last 10 years before you got the Saudis in it. Yeah, weird how that works, isn't it? Yeah, all those jobs that went from Germany to Poland. All right, cool. I mean, by the way, it was also just shit, wasn't it? It wasn't even a good match.
No, it wasn't a good match, but
it was all old players. But what was even the point of that?
But what's the theme? What's the premise?
Shall I tell you what my guess would be?
Well, I've got my.
I wonder if they're teasing ENC.
You read my mind.
We're on the same page on this one, aren't we? No one else saw that, Richard. Yeah. That was the most obvious angle. It's a cynical way. What's the odds, Monty? We've just made a tournament we're going to do. It's an issue. And we'll just have our show match. Every other show match is Donna plays Oni Pixel, plays some guy who sells skins that I don't know, plays a guy who won't sell skins because he's ethical and fucking hell, he's a trader. It's them play, and then definitely not anyone like me in the show match. So that's every other show match I had to watch. And then if the show match ends too fast, the fan starts too early. So that's every other ESL. Bizarrely, this one, Germany versus Poland. By the way, also, in the era of modern count, that might be a banger 10 years ago. Yeah. Germany versus Poland. Crowd goes mild. What are you talking about? That's dog shit.
I mean, also as well, I did notice during the commentary, there was like lots of references to like Esports World Cup and stuff like this.
They're probably told to do it. Let's be real.
Oh yeah, they're
some
obviously mandated to do it.
Yeah.
So there was like a bunch of like bizarre like references that felt a little bit crowbarred in at times. But yeah, that was my read on it too, Duncan. I think they threw out a show match that has no relevance to what was going on. Purely as a let's prime the pump.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand the ENC which is coming up round the corner now. This is like essentially the next big Saudi project that everybody's like looking to. Is it going to be a success? How's it all going to work? Yeah. It's so close to the major. So every opportunity they get to sort of whet people's appetite for it. And also they've got all of these federations which magically sprung up overnight, all had Twitter accounts, all had these things. And you're supposed to believe that like their anointed federation controls all of the esports now in that country, and they've done it for like Germany. They've done all the countries that are going to participate in the ENC. So I looked up some of the names. It's who you would expect. Like spoiler, the Team Germany board. Guess who's on it?
Jens Hilgers or Ralph Reichardt or something. Who is it?
Second one.
Ralph, I can't.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Not a conflict of interest.
Also insane conflict of interest, I know, isn't it? Like, runs the whole project.
Yeah,
for
runs the whole
EWC,
project.
for
I'm
God's
just
sake.
going to be here consulting on it.
I know.
And also as well,
I
like-
choose me to represent Germany.
Yeah, and it's like there's just a ton of all the ESL cronies and flunkies from down
If I
the
ever do
years.
get a fucking genie, one of my first wishes is I wish everyone actually understood what conflict of interest is.
No.
Please, genie,
It's
please.
never-
I can't keep pushing the
Much-
boulder up the hill every day. Please.
much like the Falcons winning the major now is sort of with that. It's gone. You've just got to let that
Yeah.
one go,
No, you have.
unfortunately. So, yeah, I thought that was funny, Mal. I don't know if you had a take on it. Just seemed a really shit and stupid fucking show match to do.
I mean, they didn't even pick a good angle for it, where it was two players from one tier 1.5 team, like M80, and then three players from Big. The Polish team was two streamers, as far as I know. I mean,
Yeah.
and what's the point of doing it with no fun rule set or something?
I know.
If you're gonna just get these kinds of guys, it's on cash. I mean, truthfully, I was not gonna wake up for that. As soon as I saw who was in it, I knew exactly. Like, you get players that are if you get a player that's at the major who's not named karrigan, who's not named Simple, somebody with a massive brand already, they're just going to try hard. And that's that's the worst show match
It
possible.
makes the worst show match, yes, easily.
Yeah, so
And if you're going to say it's Team Poland, it better be the Yortaz.
Yeah,
it can't be
yeah.
the ones who were on the bad teams 10 years ago. Who gives a shit about that?
As soon as I heard the team names, I thought, oh, wow, okay. I was thinking Germany, like, let's get Tabs in, let's get Gabi. For Poland, I thought it was just going to be like the Golden Five type of roster there. Like, you bring in Bialy or something, like something interesting I haven't seen for a while. But when it's just players that are on teams that either made the major or barely missed it, and they're just, it had to be something different. So I feel like, honestly, Harry and Hugo were sold super hard on just like an awful show match. Like, I don't like, I almost feel bad that they had to cast that one, because I personally thought that they were, I say what you will, I also don't even necessarily say this all the time for them as a casting pair. I thought they were the best casting pair at this major leading up to the playoffs, pretty easily, actually. Like, Hugo was insanely locked in. The way that they also delivered big NRG, and then they're just kind of hit with that one, and it's just an inevitability, really, too. I mean, you're never gonna dethrone Sponge and Machine at a premier ESL event. I think they did actually get one of the Colognes or Krakows after Sponge and Machine did it for like 5 years straight, but like, generally speaking, the effort that they put into me was not rewarded with a substantial reward. Even though I've had favorite casters in the past and everything that aren't them, I'm actually pulling for them at Singapore, where PGL is a little bit more of a neutral party.
As casters too, you just have to learn not to do show matches. Like, you just have to include that.
Yeah, no saying that whatsoever.
I mean, I used to turn down all the League of Legends All-Stars events.
Yeah, and then the ESLs
to...
wouldn't have hired you for the next event. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And also, some of these people are signing contracts where they're just in for a penny and for a pound. It's too late,
Like, no one really wants to do a show
Monte,
match, but it's only because the show matches are bad,
You're stuck in the 2010s.
Yeah.
No one in Counter-Strike gives a flying fuck about workers' rights unions. We don't have a player union. ESIC is the joke. No team care. By the way, to this day, who were the ones who bragged there will be no ESL matches played after midnight locals? It happens every event, every single one. But rules don't matter anymore, bro. The same players that chose ESL Pro League in the Louvre Agreement over Flashpoint have since allowed like 70% of their prize money to just be given to their teams. These dickheads don't know or care about any of this shit.
Yeah.
They don't care, mate. It's gone. Those ships have all sailed, mate. It's gone.
So, to end on some positives, I want to say, first of all, I thought the stage design for this event was sick. I thought it made the Lanxess look really, really good. I thought the stage looked amazing. We already talked a bit about the camera work, but I mean, people probably don't think about the minutia that goes into like building a stage and set design and stuff like that. Easily one of the all-time great stages. Usually we're a little bit overshadowed by things like Dota. You think about TI, all the great stages they've had with the great themes. This looked fantastic, and the team that worked on this should definitely feel really, really proud. Like, amazing stage. I also want to say as well, just from a desk perspective, Ash knocked it out the park. I thought he, for a debutant, one of the best desk debuts I've seen in a long time. He was prepared, insightful, succinct, really good at working with the other analysts that he was around him. And I'll criticize ESL a little bit. I think once you look, right, because obviously they were probably a little bit bit of trepidation because of JL, and they only hired Ash to do the first sort of section. After watching him perform that well, I would have put him in the playoffs.
It's a joke that Dupree was in over him, mate.
I mean, sure. Okay. So I'll meet you on this one, Duncan, because I think this is an important point people need to pick up on. And it's like, okay, I think Dupree on a desk should be fire. Like, I would love to work with Dupree on a desk. But what I'm now starting to think is the community go, well, he talks too fast and his body language is fucked up, and he sometimes he doesn't make great points and they don't seem linked to the desk as a whole. These are the criticisms. But then there's always that thing they put at the end, but he's new at the job. And it's like, it's been 18 months now.
And it's the major playoffs. If you're new at the job, you don't get to do it.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
So, so I would say this, like, Dupree needs feedback from somebody that he will listen to.
Definitely.
Definitely. Because the rings he's got, the experience he's got, he should be a jewel in the crown for a desk.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, he's fallen a little bit short right now. And I've also been told, sort of behind the scenes, that even though he's been doing it for 18 months and he's working majors, he doesn't see this as a career path. This is something to sort of stay connected to the scene. And it's like, you got to go in on something.
I'll go one further. I would speculate. I won't leak anything. I would just speculate he's also not even going 100% on it. Well, there's another unforgivable thing.
Yeah, and so
at least put your shoulder into it, mate.
So I'll say this: if I was working on a production for ESL and I watched Ash flawlessly.
I think it was mega for a rookie, wasn't he?
Yeah, flawlessly come through. He must have been shitting his pants, but you wouldn't wouldn't have thought it for a single second. I say to him, you're coming to the playoffs. And you can make these decisions. We've done it before. We've swapped people around. So I don't know what you made of that, Maui, but like Ash, to me, rising star, stonks.
Ash was he delivered what you definitely wanted out of him in terms of the round breakdowns. I think one aspect that a lot of analysts don't always pull off as well as he did was that when he gets a round replay, he has a point. I've seen a lot of round replays over the years where I think people just kind of feel like they should put up a round replay, so they just kind of do it, and then they narrate it. Yeah, they just narrate it and tell you exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, they're just telling you what you already saw, and I don't think that it always explains any sort of greater picture or message. But that's exactly what Ash, to me, excelled at. I think that was his single best attribute, was that he could explain some sort of. He could use it as a theming device to explain about a broader picture issue or strength of a team. So when he goes into depth on heroic, and I don't even know if he did this one, for example, but he would do something like heroic, the way they use misdirection with their smokes. Look at how it set up this player to get an easy kill. This is what you're gonna need to look out for on their T sides. Like, he did that very well, and I would definitely give him a lot of credit there. Some of the aspects of like the broadcast mechanics, like playing off of the analysts and things like that, it could be a little bit stiff or rocky or not know where he needs to pick up at times. But like, that's exactly what you expect from an analyst or from the first time analyst. And so that's like within, I would even say by stage 3, a lot of those issues already got decently better.
Yeah.
Again, I think that he's just looking back probably at least at what he's doing, or he's thinking about it a little bit more critically than other people who, to me, without saying names, they're slow learners. But I don't think Ash was as slow of a learner as some other people that have taken up on the role. So I would
look very much like, I mean, obviously you can never be the finished product, but I mean, like, if that like felt like a guy who'd been doing it for years,
the YouTube pathway into this position, absolutely aided his skill set. So much so that you wouldn't know the very first time that he breaks down around on like stage 1, day 1. I actually was like, he's already on that. Like, he's already crushing it on that aspect. That's like, you're almost asking like an analyst who, if you're like trying to actually take the skill set and give it to a player, it's like you're already good at 1v3 clutches. Like, you're already good at that on day 1. Like, what that's not the skill set you should be good at on day 1. The skill set that I expect from people is be able to waffle about the top teams, give a loose narrative going into the game, be able to tell me with the most basic precursory research, what's their veto going to look like? What is their highest rated player? What is his role? Like that's kind of what I expect from day 1 analysts. But for Ash to already have some of the more, I'd say like tertiary skill sets ironed out. That was a big
it's
boon.
a shame we're essentially losing him because he's going back to the world of coaching. So unfortunately, he's not going to remain a permanent fixture, I don't think. But yeah, and one other thing I wanted to say, I know it's been a long episode, but this needs to be on the record somewhere, is I want to commend ESL for putting aside politics and putting Launders and Scrawny in the arena and letting them have a quarterfinal. Because people probably don't know this. I hope it's not upsetting anybody to say this. I don't think that was the original intention.
I did an interview with Scrawny where he implied that his streak of doing major playoffs might end at this one. So it's implied to me it probably wasn't.
Yeah, I think
if he would get to do it.
I think the original plan was that they weren't. But again, I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak on behalf of them. If Scrawny's alluding to it, then fair enough. But for whatever reason, ESL changed their mind, and that's absolutely the right decision. And majors are meant to be for everybody. We famously have said this. You know, we've always been critical about major hires the most because the major is meant to be the celebration of Counter-Strike. It's meant to be a way for the people that have made contributions to the world of Counter-Strike to come together and deliver a great product for the fans and to have the world championships. And I think if you don't include Scrawny and Launders in that, then you don't respect the game, because I think those two guys are, you know, one of the best esports pairings of all time across all the games, all of the commentary, and I'm glad they got the ball out in a stadium, because they definitely deserve that. So I'm sure ESL, for whatever reasons, well, no, the reasons are obvious. They're not their guys, but at the end of the day, the major, it's got to be about more than just your guys. So well done ESL for that, because I'm sure that was a decision that was debated, put it that way.
I want to comment on a couple of the talents as well. Like, first of all, I actually think the worst thing about Dupree getting all the negative headlines and the fact that Ash is the super rookie is that actually one of the biggest success stories of season 1 of 2026 that people missed, this is sadly the nature of You're Not Controversial, is Stiko is a fucking excellent analyst who has earned his place in the scene, grinded, started on the smaller events, worked his way up, and was, by the way, excellent. Like, I actually think he does a very good job. He's also one of those people where I'll always point out, when you are speaking second language English, but you are totally fluent, you never trip up on any of your words, really well explained point. Another person who's done a lot of YouTube content, by the way, the real point here is, I hope you're listening to yours. Being a former player is not actually very good grounds to be an analyst. Actually, someone who's a content creator is way more grounded in all the things you want them: presentation on camera, drawing together points, building storylines, narratives, all those things. Then also, as well as Stiko, I thought killed it. Even though he always gets the abuse every event, I actually think Pimp did a very good job. I was saying this to Maui. There weren't actually many iconic takes from the desk. I think Pimp had the best take of the event, which was, as Anubis became this important map for Falcons, he pointed out Anubis CT side, probably the hardest side in the game. I think he's nailed it. I've never heard anyone say that before. I think if you watch the game, it's actually objectively true. It's really hard to call from the setups on that side. I actually think one of the people who also gets slept on because they're just excellent and have no controversy is Freya actually deserves way more plaudits. Like, she is Counter-Strike Shocks. She is the person where if someone else from another game tuned into the major and saw that is our host, I would be proud in the same way as a League of Legends fan would be that you tune in and see Shocks. Someone at the peak of their game has worked to get there. By the way, she's also shown massive progress. When she used to work back in the day as an interviewer for Face It, she was all right. It was mainly more fan passion driving it. When she worked with us at Flashpoint 5-6 years ago, she was good, but I can tell you from working directly with her, I saw some of the limitations where she needs to level up a bit. She has come on leaps and bounds. And also, like I say, on all elements of presentation, how you appear, how you dress, how you handle yourself, I think she is fucking a 10 out of 10 in this game. She's mega. I thought she did a great job at this major. And then lastly, you said it earlier, shout out OJ Borg. One of the actual few things that I do. Here's what's funny. I don't actually have the same thing of like, it sucks, I can't work with the ESL. There's reasons why, and I chose them. So I don't lose sleep over that. One of the sad things about knowing I might never work with the ESL again is that's the only person who hires OJ Borg. So it is a bummer knowing I'll never maybe work with that guy again, because I think he's just a shit bro. Again, for someone who would admittedly completely be an outsider, who's probably not watching the tournaments he's not at, doesn't he just kill it every single time? And for me at this point in time, he is part of the furniture of having a kind of a Cologne type event. You want it to be that OJ comes out and gives that sort of vibe on stage. I think he's the best in it.
Yeah. I agree with all of those points. Pimp also gets credit because he was in that weird role where he was a host some days as well, and he's doing a 2-man.
And he did a good
desk,
job.
3-man
I can
desk.
tell you, there's a lot of people who are analysts. You could tell them to do that. They'd get their own points in, but would they actually call other people's number? I think he's doing a really good job of setting them up.
I saw a weird thread where it was like, again, it was very early on, where apparently he told somebody to stop sitting on the fence and give an opinion.
I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thread was, Pimp is insufferable. And it's like the way Pimp is criticized is, first of all, people say he's too vanilla. And then when he's trying to not be vanilla and trying to like actually get somebody to commit, he's just insufferable and rude. So I don't understand like what you want.
He's insufferably vanilla.
It's viewer fatigue. It's viewer fatigue. Because Pimp is the only analyst right now that gets hired by all three TOs.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you can't really get away from him if you like watching the desk. And
sometimes less is more, man, for real. With this stuff. And then sorry,
I would give a shout out to Yanko. It's
I mean, he's always holding it down, and he's just the top.
Yeah,
boy.
like, as someone that takes the craft incredibly seriously, I think Yanko is just he's just elite. I mean, I think that
I was super happy for him as well that he got to do the final when Nico got the major, because all joking aside, like, those two guys are close, and I think Yanko's took a lot of criticism down the years for being like a Nico dick rider or whatever.
He actually does a very good job of being real about the problems with his teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree too. I think
I've never been in a position where my actual friend I grew up with is in a team, so I can't even know how you would even handle it. I think in general he's way more reasonable than people make out.
I totally agree. If anything, he's more inclined to critique than not.
Yeah,
and so for him to be there in this moment, I'm sure he was very emotional.
Oh, I bet it was a really special moment in his career, absolutely.
So
I would have loved to know what Yanko's thoughts were after Falcons took a map off of Spirit in a crazy fashion, but instead I had to watch a DHL skit on
we forgot
parroting
something.
The Office.
Yes, we forgot a detail. Did you know in the broadcast, I believe it was the semi-finals he's referring to.
It was semi-final after map one between Falcons and Spirit.
What at the time was the biggest match of the tournament after the Vitality one, obviously, because again, are they going to really beat Spirit? Right? There wasn't a desk after the map. They just played like a 10-minute DHL skit where they do the we're being the American office, but not officially the American. You know those skits where it's like the gag would be funny in 30 seconds, but just 10 minutes. They did one of those instead of a desk, and then they just came back to the arena, and it was game 2. And I remember just being like, wait a minute, you're making me sit through desks for games. And I don't get one for the semis.
In the Swiss rounds, it's fine. But like doing that.
But that's the thing, they don't do that. In the Swiss, they typically do it all the matches still. So I don't know what we're doing at this point in time.
I
even actually thought at the time, is this a tech problem? Has the desk like broken or something? Because what's going on? And no, by the way, this ties into Richard's whole thing. Wasn't mentioned anywhere. No Reddit thread, no HLTV thread. No one cares. If it's just ESL, no one cares for some reason. At this point, by the way, ESL are I've said that line a million times, I'll say it again. ESL are the fucking person who, if you give a man a reputation as an early riser, he can sleep till noon. ESL needs never do anything 10 out of 10 again. They win automatically.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, I agree with that. So where did the major rank overall for all of you guys?
Well, my problem is I'm mad blinded by the karrigan thing, so it was the greatest major of all time, one of the best days of my life, and I hope there'll be another one. So,
yeah, I thought you might say something
but
like
if
that.
karrigan had lost the final, I'd have been really disappointed. You know, those things didn't hold together.
Here's the thing, though.
I know it's from our bread's button. That's the thing with me.
Obviously, from a historic perspective, I'll ask you then, not an emotional one.
Okay.
Where would you rank it?
Here's the thing. If taking out the politics, I do think it was one of the better majors. I think it was pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, would it make top 3 for me? Not quite. Like Boston's always going to be my number one. Like I just think that whole story and again I'm biased. I worked on it, but I mean, like, you know,
I think Antwerp's still up there for me.
Everyone's just picking the ones they worked.
Right.
We all get it.
Right.
You know what, guys? Clear or not, I've always thought Columbus and Cologne 2016 were pretty cool. Oh, yeah, who's the number one guy on that? Well, you know, shit, well, if I have to bring it up.
What about...
I think Columbus was really good, too, though.
Well, ask Monte, then.
Well, I don't have the perspective on this that you guys have for sure.
Yeah, but like, okay, well, how did it make you, like, you know, you watched the final, etc. Like, what was your feeling?
Was it good?
Yeah,
no, I thought it was super good. Like I said, I think the storylines were incredibly compelling coming in. I thought the production absolutely nailed it in the biggest moments that mattered. I walked away really impressed, especially by the playoffs.
And I think that does it compare to like League of Legends Worlds? Is League of Legends Worlds better? What do you think?
No, I mean, most League of Legends Worlds, as you know, Thorin suck.
Yeah.
The format is so ass that it's
True.
the MSI is just a better event now.
I mean,
than Worlds is.
We had a similar problem with the fact that one of the we've got to sort this seeding system out, and
the seeding.
And Anders had a really good idea, so I'll get your guys' take on this. He says that at each stage you should recalculate VRS and then do the seedings appropriately based on that.
Of course, because
like
basically that absolutely there's no question you shouldn't do that, because the whole point of VRS is to seed teams for this event. So necessarily, if you've seeded them properly coming into the event, then the competition here should allow them to be even better reseeded, right?
Yeah.
That should be the prevailing theory behind the format. So absolutely,
I mean, if people don't know, the problem with Swiss has always been the following: that even if you seed the first round, the second an upset happens, you make, because it's randomized, you then make it that in a 0-1 game, for example, you could play the number 1 team in the world. Like that'll never make sense. That let's imagine every other team won the match they should. Now, sadly, because of Swiss, we also don't have 1 versus 16. We have this fucked 1 versus 9, which meant that the first round of this tournament, for example, was like Vitality versus fucking Foot, and then NAVI versus Spirit, which are absurd matchups that would never happen if you did a 1 to 16 seeding. But anyway, ignore that for a second. If in the first round, every match happened except 8 beat 1, you could now have a scenario where 8, congratulations, you beat number 1. So number 1's in the 0-1 game. Number 1 could now play the 9th team.
Yeah.
But I should be getting the worst. No, you wouldn't. You get the best. So, by the way, reseeding isn't even some controversial thing. It would just make the tournament better. It's one of those ones where what pisses me off is this: if you implemented it, everyone would instantly see it's better and never complain.
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be any naysayers.
Yeah,
so
no.
why they don't do it? Because actually, as pointed out, it's actually bizarrely nearly always karrigan teams, with the exception of Budapest. Karrigan's teams have a million times had the hard side of the bracket, even though he's actually won it out many times, which is epic. But it just shouldn't be happening. I mean, the obvious one here is this. I'll tell you the person I feel the most sorry for is actually Team Vitality. So Team Vitality went 3-1, then had to play this Falcons that was on some miracle run. Wait, why are I playing like one of the 3-2 teams or one of the, you know what I mean? Like, again, I'm the number 1 team in the world. What was the circuit about? Just get into the major. So I just don't know why we do it. Because as much as fans go, they always do this, bro. Every fan will always trade short-term novelty. I want the novelty for the long-term health of the tournament and the better tournament. Whereas the best tournament here would be if you are teams like, if it'd been NAVI and Vitality or Spirit and Vitality, you can only meet in the final. That makes for also the best final. Because isn't that also one of the biggest downsides of this event? That the only shit Falcons game was they easily won the final. Mate, how can the epic game be the quarter and the semi? What are we doing?
Think about this, Monty, right? So there's this good, young, exciting team called Foot, right? All AIM stars, like one of the youngest teams at the tournament. Like their average player age is 19. They went 3-0 in their stage at the major, right?
Right, what's my reward? What do I get at the stage?
It's a good question. What is your reward? You play Vitality, the best team in the world.
Some would say ever.
Yeah. So there you go. And they took.
But that's why it doesn't make any sense that you wouldn't reseed based on VRS.
Yeah, correct.
At this event in particular, you might not do it at other events, but if the whole purpose of VRS is to get teams seeded for the major and qualified for the major. So if that is true, then also it should affect the seeding within the major itself. It's only logical.
Now, sadly, they didn't make playoffs, and now they've cut a player. Right, so it's like these things. These things are not without consequence.
No.
Like if they don't have to play Vitality there and play someone they can beat, you know what I mean? Maybe
there's many teams they would have had a chance to beat.
Absolutely,
many,
absolutely. So I mean, they proved it. They got within 1 best of 3 of going to the playoffs still, even with a Vitality game in there. So I mean, I felt super sorry for them. I think in a way, out of all the system didn't impact on any other team as negatively as it did Foot. But yeah, we've got to change that. Like the format still stinks. 1 versus 8, 9 versus 16. It makes no sense. That's not what seedings are there to do.
Also, I mean, get rid of stage 1. Like, I don't care if there were good games. Like, it can't be part of the major. It can't be part of the sticker system, because also there's the issue that it seems like, especially this year, despite the fact that viewership is so high, sticker devaluation has been insane.
Here's the thing,
and
though, with the exception of Paris,
that's a murky topic.
Yeah, with the exception of Paris, it's always been a diminishing return. We've always been trying, and then you just have this beep, and that got everyone's hopes up again. And I think Valve, like, they want to spread the wealth as much as possible, hence why week one's part of the major right now. But they also are going to have to, like, as we've talked about on previous episodes, they also need to change the mechanics of how stickers work. You can't just be open stuff. So what they did here is they had this dynamic pricing where if you buy a sticker and it's making it popular, the price goes up. Do you know how much a gold Team Spirit sticker was by the, well,
I'm going to guess, I don't know, but I'm going to say thousands, Richard.
Not plural, but it's $1,700 for one sticker.
You know why this is mad? Because Richard's mentioned this many times.
Yeah.
The reason this is insane is, I guarantee whoever did this doesn't know this about Valve software. But Valve software famously in Counter-Strike Source did this in the game of the economy.
They did.
So that if too many people in the world bought the AK because it was good, it cost max money. They already did this mistake in a game, and then they did it to stickers. Like 18 years later or something absurd like that. Like, what?
I heard as well that it was like they brought in an economist to work on the model, and then they sold that model to an MMO, like an online MMO.
By the way, the reason why this is hilarious
like a real life economy.
There was even a joke meme like this. I believe it was real, but who knows if on Reddit it's real or not. Someone said on Reddit that in my our Dungeons and Dragons group or something like that, I created a quest which had an economy because I didn't understand economics. Now my own hero couldn't afford a sword or something, because of how complicated economics is. So, by the way, that in itself is mad. Also, then the part that's murky is the following. People don't know they're actually complaining about loopholes in the system that everyone just benefited, so everyone wink didn't say anything. Like, if people don't know how the old system used to work, where you open a capsule, like a Panini sticker thing, and you get whatever stickers you get in there, what all you were really doing there was, because we didn't have VRS, and there wasn't this, your shits, you start stage one. If you had one good performance in an RMR, you would start in the later stage. Essentially, if you just locked into the right stage, where you also had NAVI stickers, you automatically paid back.
Yeah.
That's what used to happen. Not because your team deserves it and anyone cares about your team, but because everyone's buying the capsule to buy an RV sticker. That's why they were doing it. Then also, as pointed out, I wish the worst thing about esports is dickheads never listen to anything that is said that's insightful. They just pick one fact and repeat it forever. So the worst thing to ever happen to Counter-Strike stickers was people to find out that you made millions of dollars from Blast Paris, because it has been repeated as if it is a fact that every major pays you millions of dollars, and it has never been the case, because that was the outlier event. It was the last one in CS:GO, and also it was the mega one where they sold it for ages and ages and ages and ages and ages and ages. So as a result, we've had this totally skewed perspective of what stickers are, that you essentially automatically become a millionaire when you get a sticker. Well, the other reason is when you separate it out and I have to buy it specifically for your team, it's already fucked. And then, as Richard pointed out, the dynamic pricing meant eventually I'm not going to buy the sticker, am I? Because instead of buying a few capsules, it now costs me $1,000. That's absurd.
Yep.
You've made a stick. Also, lastly, let's be real. The reason it's obviously diminishing returns is because the law, I used to be fucking 10 years old and I had people telling me, why would I buy you the new football jersey? It's the same one as last time with a little black bar around you have the same jersey from last year. It costs £50. They've done that with stickers. And you know, NAVI's the only team that was in every single major. If you pulled up what NAVI's sticker looks like, it's the same fucking sticker with the tiniest change ever, 28 times in a row, whatever, 23 times, I don't know how many majors there's been. Again, why would I buy that 20 plus times? When it's even on the gun, you're not even going to know it's different from the old one. It's such a stupid concept, mate. Like that, it's actually one area where I have no sympathy for Valve and the players. Like, you've put no effort into innovating. You haven't given me a reason to buy it. Like, here's an obvious angle you could do here. I've just thought it up in 5 seconds flat. So for this major, the Cologne one, the sticker's shaped like a cathedral and it has the NAVI logo inside. Boom! I've already made it great. No, instead it's have the same NAVI logo, slightly different. What are we doing? Why would I buy that every major?
I mean, I will say these stickers are better than ones that have gone before, and they look nicer, just aesthetically, objectively. The stained glass elements to them were implemented really well. I got, credit where credit's due. I just think they need to the key, if you want to get people buying souvenirs from these events and having money go out to all of these teams, it's got to be skins. It's got to be not a sticker. It's
got to be our Cologne shirt.
Yeah, true. But it's got to be a fucking like an actual skin, a nice skin. You have,
Yeah.
especially and make it one of the rare ones. And then people, it'll crash the whole economy.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
The stained glass gloves would go hard.
Yeah, correct, actually. So, anyway, there you go. A bit of a grab bag of topics. I think we've hit all of the bases. I mean, for me, this was a good major. It might not be S tier, but it's certainly a high A. For me personally, I think all of the storylines would be super cool if I could enjoy them, which I can't because Saudi, it just controls my life. But I mean, certainly watching the event unfold, just from an objective standpoint, a fan standpoint, I thought pretty much you got what you wanted. If I was a fan of Counter-Strike, like I got what I wanted from this. With if you're not a fan of Saudi Arabian state, then obviously it's a nightmare. So,
Final thoughts, Maui. How was your co-streaming experience?
I would say from an enjoyment standpoint, it was exceedingly high. I mean, I'll hold that the best. I think that the grand final of Shanghai, like map 3, it's going to be really hard for any major to come along and top that.
yeah.
Because if I'm trying to zoom out and think of all of the majors in CS2, because going down in history through every single CS:GO one, it's hard to remember how all the playoffs played out. But CS2 being a lot more present with all of it, I just think that I'd say that the major would have been S tier if the grand finals was anything to really write home about. But unfortunately, it was pretty obvious that whoever came out of the upper side of the bracket was going to win. And whether that's Vitality, Spirit, or Falcons, they were all probably going to smash Furia. So I guess seeding would have been the biggest contributor to.
I would have liked
this
a
major
better
taking an
final.
L.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, but it's like I said, best of 5 has to eliminate any criticism about who you play in the final. There's enough runway there to get your shit together, and really the blame isn't on the. You can put the blame on the seeding if you want, but ultimately Fury didn't turn up, and they've got to shoulder a lot of
It's
the
an
blame.
indictment of Fury.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's how.
I mean, I get. Yeah, I guess from a co-streaming perspective, there was a ton of excitement, a lot of huge moments and everything. So, I guess unfortunately for my clipping potential, there was no obscenity screamed in the crowd. That's like my biggest clip ever on Twitch is when because I think they took it down from the ESL
never a given
broadcast.
at Cologne, of course. Never a given at Cologne.
No, yeah. I mean, I got on live stream fails for 2 Colognes in a row now, so that's cool. Yeah, love that.
Nice, congrats.
That's my piece.
All right, guys. Well, thanks. Hope you enjoyed our major review. It's a new kind of show that we've done for the 4 Horsemen. Maybe we'll do an MSI review soon. So we'll catch you guys later. And until then, esports Delinda Est.